this guy's just like an aggressive Catholic. It's not great, but
Apparently he lived in the same place as Charlie Chaplin at some point.
He was part of he played a small role in helping revolutionaries in Cuba.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
What?
Oh, this tweet.
Do we want to clap at 30 so we can at least
30? That's a long way away.
Yeah, but Andre was linking a tweet. I mean, that's no small task.
It's linked.
Buffer. All right. That gives us 15 seconds to click this link.
I'm not going to look at the tweet till after we clap, just to be safe.
Mine's already loading. I'm playing with fire. We got like 5 seconds.
Yeah, you got 5 seconds.
All right. We'll do this and then look at it. My claps were incredibly fucking loud. Sorry, neighbors.
Also, y'all clapped like perfectly in sync. It was like a stereo clap. It was awesome. I had to stop myself after the first clap from going like, wow.
Oh, weird, because that first clap sounded so out of sync to me.
Yeah, it sounded good here too.
Alex and I were probably out of sync, but for some reason, the two for you, but for some reason the two of you were great for me.
Just the second picture, like that whole exchange.
Yeah, the second picture is great.
Oh yeah, I saw some of this. Yeah,
that's very funny. That's really good.
The music and melody would stand on their own.
When we had that conversation about Death of the Author like a couple weeks ago or whatever, people like this are the reason why I've always struggled with that concept.
That's fair.
This is like a living example of that.
That's amazing.
Also, I don't know. Never mind. I can't tell if that's a hammer in the middle of this person's icon or a stick figure with a box over their head.
Like a stick figure with a box and some arrows.
Because it could also be a hammer and some lightning bolts, which would be potentially a white supremacist thing.
There's a cybersmith, so I assume it does not look like a hammer, because it like that would be a very uncomfortable to hold hammer.
Let's see. Yeah, it looks like a dude with a box on his head.
Okay, cool.
Wow. Okay.
Hopefully Mocha does not annihilate the microphone.
Ideally.
All right.
All right.
No, he says alt-right.
It's too many alt-rights. It's just 3.
No.
What's cooler than being I got nothing for alt-right?
You can't think of anything cooler than being alt-right. That's
no. I don't want to. I can't think of any words that associate with it.
You were being Andre 3000.
Exactly.
See.
I can't think of an ice cold equivalent.
Alt-right. It's hard to say that fast.
Alt-right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
All right. I like the hard the hard consonant in the middle there is tricky.
To rock a rhyme.
It's right on time. It's tricky.
Let's just fucking record this. Otherwise, we're gonna be making like 90s hip hop references forever.
I mean, we're just recording content at this point, so
true.
You can start this anytime. Like here, when I say, hello and welcome to episode 151 of the Gaming Fyx podcast on December 12th, 2020. I am your host, Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite 90s hip hop reference. I am joined today by Pat.
My dog just put her tongue up my nose, and I'm trying to keep her from bumping the microphone, so I don't have a fun one, but I like the song It Wasn't Me, It's one of my favorite 90s hip hop references.
Okay. And Alex.
I thought you were gonna make a joke about Mew being 151.
Oh,
Like
I mean,
Pokemon.
yeah, sure. Yeah. To listen to this episode of the podcast, you need to go to the Viridian Harbor, and then you surf after the ferry has left, and then you got to go over to the truck and use strength to push it out of the way to get Mew. To listen to this episode of the podcast,
Exactly.
on a cassette and a Walkman,
Or you just
Walkman.
go to see the Pokemon movie in theaters,
and you
at
get
which
a
point-
Pokeball with a golden card in it.
Yes, a Mew card. Yeah, that I did that. That happened. I don't think I got a
did that
Pokeball.
too.
I think it was just came in a little plastic wrapper.
I think mine came
I
in
got a
a
Pokeball.
Yeah.
It may have. I maybe
You got ripped off.
I don't remember a Pokeball. I do have photographic memory of pulling that Mew card out of the foil and like losing my mind over it, though. That I remember.
Mine was. I'm not talking about like a regular. There was the regular Pokemon card, but there was also like maybe this was a Burger King thing. It was just like, I don't know, like half centimeter thick, like gold card in a Pokeball.
I think that was a different thing. I remember that too.
Maybe that was the Burger King thing or something.
Burger King did something recently that was notable. I can't remember what it was though.
They revealed the PS5 UI.
They also did that.
Yes, that's true.
They didn't reveal the UI, but they did that. People thought they were going to, which is real fucking silly. It's obvious they were just going to do a giveaway, but oh well. I wish I could have get a fucking PS5. God damn it.
I thought you were going to say, I wish I could have revealed the PS5 UI.
Hey,
At
then that
Burger King?
means I might have had a PS5 or just an MP4 of the UI. I don't
briefly.
Yeah, that would be even more infuriating if I had one that had to send it back and still couldn't get one. That would be.
Hey, Pat. What is
Yes.
the fast food plant-based burger of choice these days?
Well, there's only really one fast food one, and that's the Impossible Whopper.
Okay.
There's no like Beyond Burger, Beyond McDouble. What's the Whopper?
Not yet. They're supposedly gonna. There was a
Beyond
very
Mac.
funny. It was a funny. They're doing a Beyond Burger Big Mac, and it was funny because McDonald's earlier this year, like a few months ago, even announced that they were going to have next year. I think it's next year. Going to have a plant-based burger, and stock for Beyond Meats tanked because people assumed that it wasn't going to be by Beyond Meats, and like. And then they announced like Beyond came out and was like, no, we're doing the burger. And then their stock skyrocketed.
That's hilarious.
Investors are fucking stupid.
Yes, the stock market is funny money. It's not like it's ridiculous, but
Yeah, it is. Also, A&W in Canada has a Beyond Meat burger. I don't know.
that's cool. They might have one here. No, there is an A&W near me, and I don't think they do have one. They have really good fries, though.
I don't know why, but I do fuck with A&W. I don't know why. I don't even like root beer.
Yeah,
I like root beer. And I like their fries. I like root beer, but A&W root beer is actually not my go-to.
Are you a mug man?
This is if I'm gonna
not your dad's root beer.
so if I'm gonna drink
Just dad's root beer.
Dad's root beer, is that what it is? I don't know what it is.
that's the
I
dad's
don't
root beer.
drink it.
Yeah, I have had that. It's fine. I would prefer not. I would like to get my alcohol through other means. I would rather just take straight liquor and put it in things.
Root beer.
Sure. No, I guess I'm a bit of a root beer snob, and that's because if I'm going to drink a diet soda, it's not going to be root beer. So if I'm going to drink root beer, it's going to be sugary. And if I'm going to consume that much sugar, it better be for like a really fancy, like special kind of soda, you know? So yeah, that said, sometimes
like a Mountain Dew.
like a Baja Blast. No, like a handcrafted, like a craft soda. It's just like when I drink.
Didn't you have a Mountain Dew just like yesterday?
That's a different thing. That's an energy drink. Energy drinks,
Oh.
different world.
Okay.
Also,
realize
the
it was an
only
energy
reason that I
drink.
drink, the only reason that I will drink those Game Fuel things is I learned that they're actually like, they have way less sugar than soda because they're like half diet, half not. So they're actually only like 20 grams of sugar for a full can, like a tall boy can or whatever they are.
20 grams of sugar, 50 grams of taurine.
No, but again, energy drinks have less caffeine than coffee in them. It's
Fair.
they're very Game Fuel by volume has way less. A whole can of it is like a cup of coffee, so it's whatever. The worst thing in Game Fuel is it has high fructose corn syrup in it, which is, but it has way less of that than yeah, and it has way less of that than like a regular Coke or a regular Mountain Dew.
Apparently, it also has a buck wild way to get your XP codes from the picture you were sending.
Oh my God. Yeah, you have to like crack open a tab that is plastic and then slide back that like unlocks the slide to slide a slide back so you can drink it. But to get the code, you have to look under the cracked tab. So you have to slide it back. It's a nightmare. It's terrible. They on the side of the can they have like a cheeky like it's called a tutorial for how to open it.
Oh no.
The only thing about it is I like energy drinks. I understand they taste like cough syrup to most people. I get it. You're valid, but I like the way they taste. And
Like cough syrup.
I guess I don't drink cough syrup, but sure. I guess. But then also it has those sweet Call of Duty XP codes on it. So if I'm going to drink an energy drink anyway, I may as well get some extra experience points.
Words to live by.
Well, that's your soda chat for the week. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with more talks about snack foods.
Yep.
You have to start the outro music there.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
just
You're right.
Yeah.
Keep it going through the rest of the episode.
Yep. It's on loop. Alex,
Hey.
what have you been up to? You still not playing games?
No, I played 2 games this week. I know you can't tell because on our document I wrote stuff and things and other junk, but I didn't put too many hours in, but I put like an hour into a little game called Bugsnax.
On a bug. Well, what is this game?
Oh, yeah. I played that this week. I should have.
Yeah. So Pat, you finished it, right?
Correct. Yes.
So yeah, I'm only like an hour in, and it seems delightful.
Yeah. I would say there's a good chance you're going to hit a point in the next hour or two where you're like, I don't know that I like playing this game. I would say push through that if you can, because I think you'll really like the narrative and the themes of the characters and stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I would say the UI has been annoying so far, where it's like, if you miss a tooltip, it only shows up for like a quarter of a second, it seems like, and then it just disappears. Then it's like, wait, what was that? Like, I couldn't figure out how to get the path tracing on the ground again, like when how you you know how it starts you by taking a picture of the strawberry, and by taking a picture it draws the path. I couldn't remember how to take a picture again, and I couldn't find it in the key mapping either. I was like,
no,
how do I take a picture? I don't remember.
Are you playing it on PC?
I'm playing on PC with a DualShock.
Oh, okay. It felt fairly intuitive for a lot of that stuff on PS5, but it's also not great at tutorializing that stuff early on. So I can see that for sure.
Yeah, but it was stuff like that. And then it was like when you catch I think it's the second strawberry, and then there's the one that flies around and steals your trap.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, get your trap back by pushing this and then pushing that. And I missed that. And I was like, what was the combo? I can't figure this out just by looking at it. All right, I'm just going to have to reload this save and get that tooltip again.
Yeah, I did have, I think, 2 instances where I had to hit reload save because something, because of similar things that I didn't miss tooltips, but there were a couple times where I basically like missed a window on something.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, it was like, not that the game broke, it was just that I performed actions in an order that the game did not expect me to. And so everything worked the way it was supposed to, but I locked myself out of completing something. Thankfully, that saves like every time you load a new area, and all that stuff resets when you go from area to area. So it's safe. It's not like you're going to get a like game breaking progress showstopper, but
Totally.
yeah.
But no, like that's probably the only really negative things about it so far has just been UI based stuff and probably my own idiocy and not paying attention to stuff. But like the like I think you mentioned it also that the voice acting is surprisingly excellent.
Yes, it's fantastic throughout. Each character is super unique and flavorful. There's 12 total characters that like have significant lines, which is a lot for a game this size, because it's a pretty short game. I think I finished it in like 9 hours, maybe, probably a little less. It was like 2 evenings of earnest play.
Sure.
And it felt like a perfect amount of time. Granted, I was playing it from the PS Plus, so I didn't buy it, but still, I think even if I had paid, $20-25 for it, I still would have felt really satisfied with the amount of time that I got with it. And the writing is really, really good. And I think the thing that I struggled with, the reason I said earlier, you might get frustrated and want to push through is, you start off, with like a couple of basic tools. You get like the trap and the slingshot early.
Yep.
And, those are fine to use. And then, you start getting asked to catch things to progress, but it's like kind of challenging. And until you get all the tools, it feels like you have to like push on the systems in ways that don't feel like they're intended kind of to progress and get those tools. Once you have all the tools, the whole world feels really like, okay, now I can go anywhere, do anything. It's fine. But that kind of process of getting your tool set, and they give you all the tools relatively quickly. Like by the halfway point, you have everything. But there's a couple of points, and it's not constant that it's frustrating. But there's a couple of points where I was really frustrated because I couldn't get the tools that I had to do a thing, and it felt like I was missing a piece of the puzzle. But there was no way to get that puzzle piece without completing the puzzle without it, kind of thing. Which is doable, but just requires more precision than I think that game's controls and systems really provide. So I don't know. There's a couple points of friction like that for me that I didn't think were positive, but overall I came away really positive on the game.
Notable review writer of Spider-Man Miles Morales on Fix.space SGCH in the chat says, the quote, "The thing about Bugsnax for me is that the writing is good, but the gameplay is, quote, so frustrating." So I don't know. I haven't been frustrated by the gameplay yet.
Sounds like someone needs to get good.
I don't think it's so frustrating.
Bugsnax.
I think there's points of frustration for sure. I think it requires some patience. I'm not picking on Sam here, but I think it requires like, that game is a puzzle game. It's a puzzle adventure game. It's not an action game. But there's moments where you have to do things quickly too. So I think it's fair to say that
a timing-based puzzle game. In a manner of speaking.
Totally. I think there's time, like it's very satisfying too when you come up with a solution and it works, I think. But there are moments of frustration for sure. Like without spoiling anything, there's a point at which I had to essentially guide a snack in like a course using a tool set that like tools you get later. To get to the course, you have to go underground. there was an aggressive Bugsnax that happened to be kind of chasing me around the area, and I didn't realize, and it ended up underground with me. And there's no death or anything in this game. You can't fail. There's no fail state. But now I was trying to like deal with maneuvering, like getting this Bugsnax who was afraid of me, so I couldn't get close to it, to move through this course with an aggressive one constantly bashing me into the wall. And like that was frustrating. I could have reloaded my save, but then I would have been just far enough back that it was easier to just lead the aggressive snack as far away underground as I could, and then I'd have time to get this timid snack a little further along the course. But there certainly are moments like that are frustrating. So I wouldn't argue. I would say for me, those moments of frustration didn't outweigh the fun I had solving the puzzles, and certainly didn't outweigh how good the writing and narrative was. But I think its narrative themes are going to connect with you, or they're not going to connect with you. I don't think it's like necessarily as universal as some stuff.
Sure.
Like, yeah. So.
Yeah. And Sam has followed up in the chat by saying, I think trying something 4 times and not knowing if it didn't work because you were timing it badly, or that it didn't work, like even if you time it perfectly, was an issue for him. So like I can get that too. Like if it's not giving you feedback for the things you are doing, or
totally, yeah.
What the things you're doing or not doing. Yeah.
It sounds like kind of like that kind of ties into the like tutorial or like tooltip stuff where like you miss a thing and then it just never comes back up.
Yeah.
Whereas like, which is interesting because so many games these days just over tutorialize or constantly give you the tooltip like, hey, you can do this, and like, yeah, I know, I've been playing this game for like 30 hours, you don't need to tell me every time. Even
after you turn off the tutorial tips in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it still gives you certain ones. So yes.
I mean, you know, that game I could probably use it, but because there's so much going on. But like, yeah, there's so many games just constantly are giving you tooltips, and then to have a smaller game like this not do that, and then you miss something, you're like, what? It's confusing.
Like the only thing I would say is it'd be nice if there was like a log or even just something you could push, like just a guide, like maybe if you're on a dual shock or whatever and you push the
well, if you're playing on a PS5, you could have hit the button, the activities button, and it would have showed you the video, and you could have been, oh, that's how I will say
I'm generally not an activities button guy so far in the like whatever 20 hours I've spent playing PS5 games. However, the nice thing about Bugsnax is at the end there's a point where it says like, hey, you're going to do the final quest now, make sure you do everything you want to do, because you can't go back from here. And I was like, well, shit, I might want to go back and platinum this game. I don't want to play the whole story again, but I also want to finish it tonight, and I'm not going to go back to it this week. So I just finished it and was like, whatever, it's fine, I'll never platinum this. But if you use the activities button to go back to like resume catch all Bugsnax activity, it takes you back to your save point right before that point of no return, which is really nice.
That's interesting. Cool. So does that mean it might have like kind of like multiple saves under the hood that you can't directly access?
Yep, apparently.
I mean, that's not cool. Like atypical for those, like for games with like a point of no return. They just say, okay, so you can pick up right from.
It's also possible. It's also possible that if I were to launch the game and just go to that save, it would drop me at that point, of, like right before the point. I don't know. It does not do the thing that other games do, where after the credits it drops you back there. It puts you at the menu after the credits. But because of the way that that game ends, it wouldn't make sense for them to just be like, and now you're walking around. Not to spoil anything, but
you don't put you back in at like, you know, post game. You put it in before the point of no return.
Anyways, I'm not far enough in to have any strong opinions about it, other than UI stuff has kind of sucked, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
As we kind of think about the end of the year and lists and stuff, it's the kind of game that I don't know if it'll make my top 10. I'm not like, oh my God, this is the game of the year, but it's the kind of game that I could totally see. Like, I know Allison really liked it, so I could totally see together kind of talking about like, oh yeah, we like this a lot as a group. And I think I was talking to our friend of the show, Jeff Davis, about it. I think they need to play that game because the themes that it deals with are very, if you have interest in very simple, basic philosophy concepts and mental health and stuff like that, and relationships. It's a game that looks at those things, and community building too. It's a game that looks at those things through a lens that I have not really seen much in games before. So I think that stuff is cool.
Yeah. And one last thing from Sam in the chat saying, when you beat the game, you can talk to Philbo and he teleports you back to before the point of no return. So that is a thing.
Well,
Pat is
there you
off
go.
chasing. I thought
Sorry,
Pat was off chasing the
I was
dogs, but-
adjusting my thermostat because it was aggressively cold when I woke up, and now I'm getting roasted. It's been a morning here.
That's great. But yeah, no, speaking of games being played for the sake of Game of the Year season, I have another one that I'm about, let's say an hour, maybe two into. I haven't been tracking times, but that is Paper Mario and Origami King. So it's fine so far. I don't know. It's I don't know if I feel super strongly about it yet. There's parts about it that I'm enjoying that I think are they're cute. Like you're kind of going around, you're collecting all the shit by breaking shit, which is always a fun mechanic.
Yeah.
But other than that, the story is fine. The characters are fine. The combat system I think is okay. So
That's better than some people have said about it. So
It just gets tedious like the longer you play.
that's exactly what I'm worrying about, is that it's like, oh, once you start running into just kind of small battles with nothing characters and having to go through kind of the puzzle combat for the sake of that, sounds like it could be a little bit tedious.
it seems like that game should have had more curated, like, there's 25 battles in this game. That's it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like it, because it sounds like not that it'll necessarily connect with you, but it sounds like that it has connected with a lot of people from a narrative perspective.
Yeah,
It
that's
does
what
some
I've
really
heard too.
interesting things narratively, and I would like to see that stuff. And I don't know, maybe I'll end up watching a playthrough or something. It's not like Nintendo is going to miss my $60 and crash into the earth because of it.
If they did.
You're solely taking away from Miyamoto's retirement fund.
But maybe I'll watch a playthrough of it because the narrative stuff sounds great. I don't think I want to do the battle stuff, but some of the puzzle stuff that's like not the battles specifically sound really cool. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it seems like some of the boss battles, like beyond the first one, are interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I would say the first one, which I just got around to, got past, it was okay. It was fine. I probably had seen it enough times to know what was going on to not be super wowed by it. But yeah, I'm interested to see if they can mess around with it or mess around with the formula, I guess, enough to the point where it gets interesting again, or if it's just more, layering stuff onto what's already there in a way that's just like, oh, now it's the same thing but more.
It's a lot of the same thing, but more.
Yeah.
At least from what I've seen.
It's the perfect kind of length as something that I might be able to squeeze in because I have a bunch of vacation time coming up. So
Yeah, same.
we'll see. If I my to playlist right now, I want to start Valhalla, but after I finish Miles, I don't have anything that I feel like I must finish before Game of the Year. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll squeeze it in there.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to put in enough time to see if I'm gonna finish this. I don't know if I will.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point I'm at with Yakuza as well. It's like, yeah, I've made it to like the core part of that game where it's like, yeah, now I'm in the actual open world with the actual parties and stuff like that, and I've started doing side content, but like I just haven't gone back to it yet.
That game sounds. I trust Andre's opinion on it, I guess, and Alice's too.
I need to get back to it. I want more.
I want to hear your opinion after you get to this supposed difficulty spike.
Yeah, I've
because
been hearing about that, which sounds like it sucks.
Yeah, that's the big, but I know I'm not going to get there anyway, so I might just wait for the next gen, the PS5 version before I play it, even though I own it on PS5 now or PS4.
Yeah.
Just that the saves don't transfer, which sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. I would have started it already if the saves transferred because I want to play it. I'm excited to play it, but I know I'm not going to finish that game before March. I'm probably going to get like 40 to 50 hours in before March, and then I can't transfer that save. So
I don't think like the improvements will be that like noticeable. I haven't looked at like the version comparisons, but like
I'm sure
if you can play the better version, then you should play the better
it'll
version.
bug me to launch the PS4 version when I know the PS5 version exists, even if that's irrational.
No, Irrational makes different games. They're making like a BioShock. Does Irrational even exist anymore?
No, I don't think so.
No. Ken Levine exists with a smaller studio.
They didn't lay off everyone at Irrational.
Legos.
They like broke up Irrational and like dissolved it into other 2K studios, I want to say.
Right.
Yeah. So that's Paper Mario. I really don't have that much to say about it. I'm not far enough in to have much like Bugsnax. I don't have any strong opinions about it yet.
I think I beat the second like stationary boss, and then I just haven't gone back to it since then.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not there yet. Yeah. And then my third thing, which is here as other junk, is I finished an entire anime in a week, which was not a short anime. It was a 2-season one.
So let's guess. Let's see, how many kilograms of dumbbells can you lift?
The Rhythm Heaven anime.
Is it is it the Arc anime?
We'll talk about that later.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Is it the I don't know, Pat? What anime did Alex watch?
It was Attack on Titan season 4.
I actually watched the first episode of that. That was really good, but that's not the one I watched because you can't watch that in its entirety yet.
Oh, I didn't realize it wasn't. Okay. I didn't realize it was simulcasting, but I guess that makes sense. Everything's simulcast now.
The Animatrix.
Now we're talking.
I've never watched
the Cyberpunk
that.
I want. Oh, you gotta watch the Animatrix.
I've never watched it either.
Oh my god.
I've played Path of Neo, which was right around the same time, but
the Animatrix is way better than any Matrix video game except maybe Matrix Online, because Matrix Online was fucking rad.
Weird.
But the Animatrix rules. You should absolutely watch the Animatrix.
It was not the Animatrix. It was a show that's been recommended to me by like several people, but I had just never really taken the time. And then one person came up to me and said very specifically, like, "Hey, you should watch this." And I was like, "Okay, I trust your opinions, so I'm gonna watch like the first couple episodes and see how it sticks." And it turns out after those first couple episodes, I was pretty into it. So I watched the entire damn thing by, watching an episode before work and then watching like 5 or 6 episodes after work while doing other things. And then that turned into watching the entire series. And that is Assassination Classroom.
I've heard of it. I know it is somewhat popular with my students.
I was gonna joke that I bet that it has to do with like pretty disturbing violence perpetrated by or against children.
Wow. You should watch this.
Hey. I'm not calling you. I'm not trying to say anything about you in person. But
isn't one of the characters just like a giant, like basically smiley face, like with like tentacle legs or arms or whatever, kind of?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is the teacher, and he is essentially like a giant octopus creature.
Now we're talking.
So let's just.
Okay, I don't know where this is going.
They make jokes about that quite a bit.
That's not why I said now we're talking, just to publicly get that out there. I just like squid and octopus monsters, not for weird sex reasons.
You do. We know you do. It's true. You really liked Oberdin. But I'll say, like, right off the bat, it does have its weak parts.
For weird sex reason. That's why you like Oberdin,
though. I'll get back to the weak parts of the show, but like the concept is like, it's so absurd that you just kind of have to appreciate it. And like, okay, so like if you have no context for it, it follows a class of high school students who are like all in the like the worst of the worst class, like the very bottom rung of their prep school.
The opposite of Danganronpa.
Exactly. And like they all do actually have it shares a lot of commonalities with Danganronpa in the end. But so yeah, they get a new teacher and like they're immediately told that their goal is to murder this teacher by the end of like the year. Like they have until next March to murder this teacher. And yeah, the teacher is that giant octopus smiley face thing. So the thing about the teacher is that he can move at Mach 20 and he's also extremely intelligent. So like it does turn into the Danganronpa like very extravagant murder plots. So like they have to come up with crazy plots for how to destroy this creature.
This sounds very good.
It is.
So he's an SCP.
I won't get into his origin story. They go into it, but
That's cool.
Like it has, I would say it's like in the first season, it's like 60 to 70% like comedy action combo. But it does my favorite thing. I think I've talked about Hina Matsuri, which is like the comedy show where it's like, that's a 90% comedy show. But then when it goes into its 10% of serious, it's like, holy shit, this is really intense and like an actual tearjerker that's teaching you like for realsies life lessons. And this has that. Hina Matsuri being the one I think I brought up with Yakuza because it has the episode that heavily focuses on homeless people and homelessness. And this is kind of similar in a lot of ways, where it has just really great moments of earnestness. And from the very first episode, like it has zero filler at all. Like everything is there for a reason. Every scene matters to the ending, like, and everything ties together at the very end. Like it's one of the few shows that like it doesn't ever need a follow-up movie or a season because it is very self-contained. It tells its story and you don't need anything else. So it's really good. But
all you need is Assassination Classroom.
Yeah. And it's a Shonen Jump anime. So like it's basically a battle anime, but it's a battle anime that respects your time. Like things like let's say Dragon Ball, a battle that would take 3 to 5 episodes. It starts and it finishes within like 10 minutes in this show. Like to the point where it's like you could slow down if you wanted to. Show like you're doing great, but like
it's like a One Punch Man thing where it's just like, yep, but we know what you're here for. We're gonna get to it, and we're gonna get through it.
Sure, but it's significantly better than One Punch Man, I would say.
Yeah. But like that thing does the like, okay, we got to fight, and like part of his gimmick is he just one punch, but like they get through things. They don't do a ton of build up.
Totally, but yeah, no But like I said, it has some issues. It only really has one issue to me, and it has the Food Wars problem. If you've ever seen Food Wars, where you kind of have to get past some of the ultra horniness, like where it's like, oh,
Welcome
I'm just gonna
to anime.
But like it's the kind of thing where it's like I don't want to watch this in public because it's just gonna focus on boobs for the next like 30 seconds
Alex,
straight.
You had me, then you lost me.
You can't go out in public.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
Where are you going to watch anime in public?
No, it's true. But like
Handshake.
were that were that the case, I would not want to watch it in public because of that. But like it doesn't happen that frequently, and like it was kind of annoying here and there, but it never ruined it for me because the stuff that's great is like super exceptional in it.
I think that's totally fair. I also like I'm so tired of like you just have to get past the horniness. It just is like, but I don't really want to. I would like for something to just not be horny, please. Just once.
Cyberpunk is not the game for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sure.
Like the horniness is like
Different kind of horniness.
It's not with the kids. Like, so that's fine.
good at least.
Like it's not sexualizing children in any way. And it even has like some like arguably trans character. Like it's more nuanced than that. It's like someone struggling with their gender identity, basically. Like it has a very nuanced look at that. So like the kids are actually given a lot of agency and that kind of stuff, and they're not sexualized. But like the horniness comes from this character who's like a professional assassin who's a very sexy lady, and she's used her sexiness to like with like high class targets has tried to
Her
like
feminine wiles.
That's a little
exactly.
more. That's a
So
little less
it explores
frustrating to
that.
me.
Yeah,
that's,
so it explores that. It's not so much just like, oh, we want to bone everything, which
that's
is annoying.
kind of why I can deal with, oh, we want to bone everything. Like the Cyberpunk brand of horniness of there's dicks and boobies everywhere is not so much the problem for me. It's more the when I heard classroom of children trying to assassinate their teacher and horny, my assumption is, yes, there's the 4 different brands of young women that anime lads are horny for in this class. So hearing that it's not that is a little better.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. If you like things like Danganronpa, I would say you would probably like this because it gets ridiculous and it has heart. It also has some Higurashi stuff to it that like I can't really get into without spoiling both of those series. So it's
interesting.
Cool. Yeah, it's worth a watch.
Yeah, I might give it a look.
Yeah.
It's maybe once I finish One Piece, I just hit like I'm past chapter 900 today. As of today, almost 1 year later, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. 100 more issues, and I'm
so
like
you're
caught up.
watching on average like over.
No,
2
I'm
episodes
reading.
a day.
I'm reading.
Oh,
I'm
he's
reading.
reading it.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot.
It's
You're
like
right.
5 minutes. 5 minutes a chapter.
Yes. No, I get that. I did that with
I could watch it because it's on Netflix. I could use it to like practice some Japanese, listening practice. But
Speaking of filler,
it actually One Piece has very little filler.
It just has a lot of.
it just has a lot.
It's just there's a lot of it. Like they got to a point where they're just like, and every chapter is 1 episode.
God.
But yeah, maybe I'll read it after that because it's on the Shonen Jump app. Yeah. And stuff like that.
I'm assuming that Assassination Classroom is on Funimation and or Crunchyroll.
Cool. It's Funimation, which will soon be part of Crunchyroll.
Right, exactly.
Guess, or whatever direction that goes. I will say the Funimation site sucks huge ass.
Oh, it's terrible. It's awful. It's awful to even find things. Like you can't even tell. Like sometimes I struggle with Crunchyroll because I'm like, do you actually have this? Are you selling me DVDs? What are we doing here? But I accept that it's because they have a wide range of like different products that they're trying to fit into a unified UI.
Store, like
right.
Yeah.
And so I get that they're trying to like surface everything and it makes it a little harder. But man, the Funimation app is doo-doo.
It's extreme doo-doo.
Hey, Crunchyroll, sponsor this podcast.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Crunchyroll's fine. I don't know. It's anime.
Yeah. Anyways.
It's unlimited anime.
Unlimited.
No, I mean, you pay for it. So the limit is your bank account.
And I guess technically there is a finite amount of anime in the world, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
Infinite monkeys with infinite typewriters could make infinite animes.
I'm not trying to cut an ad for Crunchyroll here. I'm just saying Crunchyroll is a better user experience than Funimation.
Yeah, by far.
You heard it here first. All right.
You won't hear it here last either, I'm sure.
Well, next up, Pat. What are you playing? What are you enjoying? What are you doing?
So, a touch real quick on Miles. I think I'm around 20% of the way through that game now. I started it over last night because I hadn't played it for a while. I'm playing it on that new performance RT mode, which is like the ray traced but still 60 mode.
That's cool.
It doesn't always run at 60, frankly. It does dip into the 30s for sure, but it's not frequent enough that it's jarring, and it stays stable it'll like dip down, stay stable there, and then go back up. And it's still worth it because that game still looks remarkably good. I think the character models are it's hard in a year that had character models, no matter my feelings about something like The Last of Us 2. It's hard in a year where last gen, the big capstone game last gen, had character models like that, and then to compare anything to that now is like rough.
They're also different kinds of games,
Absolutely.
like open world
Totally,
versus yeah.
More just like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you like it's
the best looking game ever.
No, but from a environment perspective, it's very, very impressive. The world looks amazing. The reflections look really good. The buildings and stuff. The lighting is awesome. So it feels, and then at 60 frames per second, it just feels super good to play. Sorry, I'm looking over there because my dog might bark at some point. She's having a bit of a meltdown. But yeah, I mean, at 60 frames a second, it's really, really fun to play. The combat feels a lot better. And hang on.
Oh no, the dog is going insane.
No, that's classic dog action.
To cover for Pat, in speaking about character models and stuff, it feels like we finally reached a point where we've caught up to LA Noir in a manner of speaking. Like,
yeah, I mean, I would say
people mostly look good.
The character models in Miles look better than the ones in LA Noir, for sure.
Yeah.
Doubt.
But generally, my feelings on that game are pretty positive.
Big LA Noir fans here.
Yeah. I like LA Noir quite a bit, actually.
I don't mind.
Never played it. Never played it.
But you should play it. I think you would enjoy. I think you would like the experience of playing it.
I don't know if Andre would. It's basically a big adventure game.
Oh, I don't know. I think you would think it's cool.
I maybe at the time I would have. Now I would probably just find it tedious.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe
it moves. That game moves though. It's not I don't think it's particularly tedious. Anyways, it's not the point. Miles Morales. Spider-Man still feels real good to play. The swinging still feels real good to do. The combat feels better at 60 frames a second, and more fluid, and that kind of satisfied my issue of like it feeling very much the same as the previous gen. Like playing it at that frame rate actually does make it feel more like you're playing as Spider-Man, I guess.
Are you playing on a 1080p TV or 4K TV?
4K. Okay. And I don't believe in performance RT mode that it runs in native 4K. I think it's doing some upscaling. Yeah. But it's not really noticeable. Like the difference when you flip between the two is pretty hard to catch in like just play. If you take screenshots, you can see some differences, but it's pretty negligible. It's really impressive what they're able to do with that performance RT mode. I would say for like the game, the graphics mode aside, the combat in that game feels a lot better. It is so bad how spongy the enemies are, which is a problem in the last game, and it's like the same here. I'm playing it on like one difficulty down from the top, and that's the one that's the one it recommends, like it defaults to. And one of the ways that they increase the difficulty in that game is by giving the enemies more health, and I think that sucks. Yeah. Assassin's Creed does this too. I don't think no, Assassin's Creed doesn't do that. They just make you take more damage from enemies, so it punishes you more. Yes,
Uncharted.
What I want is to be required to be more precise and be punished more when I make a mistake. But the fact that you have to punch people 12 times. I counted basic grunt enemies. You have to punch them 12 times. And the problem is when you punch them 4 times and finish a combo, it knocks them away. And so like, then you have to run after them and punch them 4 more times, and then run after them and punch them 4 more times.
That's why you got to get the web blossom. Well,
and this game has, this game has the Venom system, which is like the Venom, system, which Venom. It's one of Miles' like unique powers. Also, sorry, my dog and cat are just like ripping around the apartment behind me. So, the Venom powers are like different. You hold down L1 and push different combinations of face buttons, and it does different powers. The suit powers, I want to say, still exist as well. So this is like a new system, not a replacement. But there's things like there's certain enemies that they will block you with like their big power fists unless you venom punch them. But you have to have, basically like that. Yeah. But you have to have venom built up by dodging or attacking in order to use your venom punch. So sometimes you're just standing there like, okay, try to punch me so I can dodge you, so that way I can get my thing up to punch you with venom and block
that
your
famous thing Spider-Man has to do.
So I think like to a degree.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, noted reviewer of Miles Morales, SGCH, in the chat says, Pat, you got to be juggling.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing, right? There are systems like the air juggles, there's the air kicks, there's a lot of like stuff you can do to. You have a fairly large toolkit, but I feel like it's almost too broad in a sense. I don't know. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just there have been times when I've been doing fights and I'm like, we're still fighting, because like I've punched all of you like 10 times, but I guess I didn't punch all of you 12 times, so now I have to run around and punch each of you 2 more times, and it's like tiring, I guess.
That one-to-one maps to me in Uncharted, where I would play it at like hard, maybe normal, and like would just bump it down to easy because the combat got so tedious.
And the thing is, I could bump the difficulty down, but then it'll be easier than I want. I still want it to be at this level of challenge, but I want that to be conveyed through more punishing timing windows and taking more damage. And they call it aggressiveness. I want that to be where the difficulty comes out. I don't want them to become spongier enemies. Yeah, I don't know. Sam just used the launcher as a final movie. I understand that Sam really likes the combat in this game. I'm just saying I'm not crazy about the encounters.
Yeah,
I think if it's at the point where
it sounds like the combat systems are cool. It's just the enemies are not balanced in a way at the harder difficulties to make it fun.
I think, like, to Sam's point, if the answer is, oh, you just have to hit punch 3 times, hold punch, and then keep punching, and that's the answer to all the combat problems, I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I think that being one of your
doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah. But again, I'm not trying to rag too hard on the game, because I think it's like the combat feels good.
You know, that kind of reminds me of like playing this game from an isometric perspective, where you just kind of go click, 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 click. It sounds like
cookie clicker.
Oh, cookie. Yeah,
clicker.
sorry,
Yeah,
my
right.
mistake. I pronounced it wrong.
I do really like there's the for the most part, I really like the stuff they've introduced in how the open world works. You can access like the different side activities even faster now, because like there's a spider app now that Miles has.
And
They-
the
is it called the
PS5
Spider
activities app.
It's called the Spider Friend app. It's very funny.
So is it an app only that Miles and Peter can use?
No, so it's this is minor spoilers, but whatever. It's like the opening of the game. Miles's friend Genki, who he's in. Is he in Into the Spider-Verse?
Saints Row.
No,
He's
no,
wearing
he's
a
not.
big cat mask.
He's the like guy in the van equivalent from the like Tom Holland Spider-Man. He's his best friend. He knows he's Spider-Man.
Guy in the chair, please.
Yeah, sorry, guy in the chair, not guy in the van. Guy in the van is a phasmophobia thing. Guy in the chair. Friendly neighborhood app. Okay, he makes an app for Miles, like out of the tech that Peter puts in Miles' visor, so that normal people can request Spider-Man's help on an app. And it's funny. There's a lot of like, they actually handle the like a lot of the peripheral stuff about the same way that Spider-Man, the original Insomniac Spider-Man, handled like social media really well, the way that it had him like have a fake Twitter and stuff. This game does that well with this stuff. So, and that's the thing that I think is the best thing. I think some of the writing is a little, it does the thing that comic books do, and it is kind of hard to avoid, where they need characters to convey background information to you, and it's not something they would ever talk about because they just know it, but they have to convey it to you. So it'll be like, hey, is your brother still working on that scholarship internship from such and such? Like, I'm that's not an exact thing, but like, it's like, is your brother still a project manager at this company? And it's like, the way that that's worded is not great. And then some of the dialogue, I think, is delivered in a way that is kind of stilted, like, and I don't know how much of that is the people that I have encountered that like live in New York and the way they talk. But like, there's a specific line of dialogue where,
hey, I'm walking over here.
no, there's a specific line of dialogue that really made me go like, I don't know about that line read, where there's one of Miles's friends is talking about how Miles has moved to Harlem from Brooklyn. And Miles is like not adjusting super well. And she's like, oh, you hate it. And he's like, no, I don't hate it. And she's like, you just need to find, what does she say? Something. And then, a barber shop, a place to shoot hoops. And the way she says it, I was just like, do people tell each other, oh, you just need to find a barber shop and a place to shoot hoops, then you'll adjust to this neighborhood? I don't know. There's little,
they grab a slice of pizza, open a sewer, and then go cowabunga.
There's little lines like that I think are either not delivered well or feel poorly written, and a little stilted. With that in mind, I think that for the most part, the story is good. The moment-to-moment writing of the peripheral characters. I think Miles himself is written really well. I think Genki is written really well. And I think Peter's written really well. And those are the characters that, not that Peter's in it that much, but he calls Miles at times. I think those are the characters that are written and performed super well. Like sometimes like Miles's mom, she's a politician. She's running for city council. They'll be sitting at the dinner table in one scene and she'll be like, I just think that Roxxon as a corporation has so much power here. We need someone who's going to stand up for them and fight for the members of this community. And it's like, okay. Some of that stuff is not great, but I think that generally the story beats are really good. And the thing about the story that I'm impressed with so far is twice now I've gone, if you think I don't understand what's happening here, you must think I'm an idiot. Like about a story thing, about a thing that I assumed was going to be revealed later on. And actually they just kind of come out and like, just get it over with and reveal it like earlier on. And they don't make you do the whole, like, all right, I know who this character is already thing. They just go like, no, we're just going to show you what you're dealing with here. And I think that's better narratively. So I'm enjoying it.
Is that because it's such a short story? Like comparative to Spider-Man proper, like it's a side story essentially, right? Like an 8-hour thing.
Yeah, I think so. But I think also this was a thing that the original Spider-Man did pretty well. Like it wasn't precious or like, holy shit, you don't like Doc Ock is in the original game, right?
Yeah.
And Otto Octavius is
Sony doesn't want you to talk about that,
which is Sony's problem. Insomniac themselves in that game do a good job of foreshadowing. They're clear that who that is and everything. So like, I think that Miles handles that stuff really well with like less well-known, less obvious characters, but still I was like, I don't know who this villain is, but it's this person. I'm not an idiot. and then, not that I'm saying if you didn't pick up on that you're an idiot. That's not my point. But it doesn't.
It's like people who watched The Dark Knight for the first time and didn't know who Harvey Dent was and didn't know what he would become. Like for them, maybe it's a shock that he becomes Two-Face, but like,
And in this case, I think even without knowing the plot, it's pretty easy to see where certain elements are going.
Sure.
And rather than make you wait and then try to pull off some like twisty reveal 2 acts in, it just pretty quickly is like, okay, this is the person that you think it is.
It just kind of poops it out. It's like, hey, here, check it out.
And it's more interesting narratively because then it requires you, the player, and Miles to view these relationships in that context as they're happening, not in retrospect, which I think makes for better storytelling in this case. And so that part of the story I'm really impressed with. And I'm interested to see where it goes, since I know it's not going to lean on some kind of emotional reveal of certain things.
To an extent, it's kind of the thing I was saying about Ass Class, where it's like it respects your time. It's like it's not gonna go too crazy with it.
With minor exception, this game absolutely respects your time. The one thing I'll say, I've only done 2 of the crimes so far. There's like side objectives that are just like ambient crimes, and unfortunately they still have the system where to 100% them you have to fulfill certain conditions as you're doing them. And they're the kind of things where it's like one of them is a weapons deal, which is just like the drug deal from the first game, and it's like 6 or 7 people clustered together all looking at each other, and one of the objectives to get the points from it is to do 3 stealth takedowns. And it's like, it's not fun because they're all standing like next to each other. So what I ended up doing to do it is I did a stealth takedown initially to start the combat, and then I used Miles's camouflage and hid on the side of the building until they all stopped looking for me, and then I did it again, and then I hid again, and then I did it again, and it was like, that wasn't fun. It was just like a way to satisfy the condition. So I think to some extent that thing kind of still sucks, but generally my complaints probably are seeming more severe here than they actually are. I think it's a really good game, and I think I'm really enjoying it. So
review on the site.
Yeah, I think Sam's review is really good, and I, for the most part so far, agree with it, even if I have some minor issues with the sponginess of enemies and some of the objectives.
All right. What else you been playing?
So the other thing I dipped back into this week was I finally got around to playing the Umurangi Generation DLC, which is called Macro. And going back to it made me, it kind of, the way that I kept thinking about it, and the best way I can describe it is when you listen to an album and you're like, oh yeah, this is really good, I like this, and then you kind of put it on the shelf because you liked it, but it wasn't like a new favorite, and then a year later you pop it in and you're like, holy shit, I did not appreciate this enough when I first listened to it. That's kind of what playing Macro did for me with this game. I liked the base game, but I found some of the movement elements and the sort of light platforming in it to be frustrating enough that it wasn't like a 5-star, oh my god, this is one of my games of the year. For some reason, going back to Macro, it really made me feel like that stuff is more, because it's still present in Macro, made me feel like that stuff is actually part of the experience in a way that I think is positive, even if it's initially frustrating in the moment, in the same way that losing to a Dark Souls boss can be frustrating, like it's having to deal with the fact that you have physical limitations, given that you're playing as a admittedly able-bodied but human, is really it's really I think makes the game's like photography feel more grounded, because you can't just like deploy a drone and take a picture from way up in the air. You have to like actually get the shot, and that's feels really cool. The DLC specifically adds some additional movement stuff, like you get roller skates so you can sprint around, which is like massively improves it helps with the base game, because then you can sprint around. One of the objectives is time based in every level, so it does kind of make it easier once you have the roller skates, but I'm glad that they just put them in anyway, because it's really satisfying and feels good to be able to just zip around a level if you want to. And then the level design in the base game is very good. The level design in the DLC is quite spectacular. The ways that they use environmental transitions to convey narrative, even though the game doesn't have any dialogue or anything. It's all the narrative is visual environmental storytelling. And it's done well in the first game, but in the DLC, it's like really, 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 really good. Like really, really impactful. The first level is, I had a moment that I actually like, it like kind of took my breath away, because of how powerful the transition that happened in it was. And we're talking like, think like the Tony Hawk warehouse level when you crash through into the other part of the warehouse.
It's
like
transcendent.
Not so much the emotional reaction to that, more like mechanically, the fact that you can like bust when you go like, oh, there's a whole other area of this level if I bust through this.
Mechanically transcendent, though.
Yeah, sure. But there's in this DLC in the first level, there's a door you can go through, and on the other side of it, you're just like, oh fuck.
It's like the Pokemon Silver going back to Kanto and finding the entire region.
A little different than that, but definitely it's a moment of like, oh, I didn't know I could go through here. And then the narrative that unfolds over the course of the DLC is really powerful, I think. I think that the base game has an incredible story, that I still don't, if you've managed to avoid learning about it, I would recommend continuing avoiding that, because it's very cool. Even if it's spoiled, it's still really good, but it's very cool to see like the premise unfold in real time. But the thing about the base game is it has things to say about authoritarianism, policing, and like use of absolute power. And it says those things really well, I think, in the context of, you know, January, February, March 2020 and before. But because of what has happened this year, it felt like it didn't walk with the same gravity that you might expect given the murder of George Floyd, Black Lives Matter protesting. Like it very much felt, it was really good, but it was like playing it after all of that had occurred felt like it was clearly a piece of media that was developed before it, not that it did anything wrong. This DLC is a response to those things, and is extremely emotionally engaging and powerful. And like the final level of the DLC is probably the coolest thing I've seen this year, from a sort of storytelling design perspective. The way it changes the framing of the game, the things it does mechanically as you play through it, it is remarkable. And I think if you are somebody who cares about like kind of like the artsy indie game, it is a absolute must play, because it's definitely, to me, a thing that shines above like most of what I've played this year. I think it's tough because like you can get into structural arguments about like, well, if the DLC is the thing that really puts it over the top, does that mean it should be game of the year because that's the DLC? It's not part of the game. But I think it integrates in the game so well that it makes sense as a complete package. Now's the time to play it if you haven't.
Cool. All right. Well, speaking of packages,
wow,
it's here.
The complete package.
What kind of what would you say? It's like large?
I mean, it default.
Well, I was going to say massive. My massive game. It
is big. Cyberpunk has finally come out. Cyberpunk 2077. Yep. I've put, what does Steam say? I've put about 6.8 hours.
Damn.
You know, I was so close to finishing Assassin's Creed Odyssey at level 69, and it didn't have. I was level 65, and I was
wow. That's on you.
I considered spending another like 6 hours with the game doing side shit to level up, so that way I can finish at level 69. But
Yeah, basically everything, not everything, but most the like main quests I've done, all the main quests I've done pretty much have been what they showed like at E3 like years ago, which I've
years ago.
found interesting. So it's like the Dexter Deshawn stuff. I haven't met Keanu yet. But
I thought he was there right at the start.
No.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's I don't know if it's end of the first act. They increased his line count considerably, but he's not there from the start. Like,
Got it.
yeah.
The title card is apparently 9 hours in.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I'm close. So yeah, I assume it's like an end of Act 1 type thing. Then probably
That's my understanding.
So I'm playing Lady V, Miss V, as Dexter Deshawn calls her. But Pat, you chose Man V.
Yes, Mr. V.
Mr. V.
Mr. V.
Yeah.
Mr. V.
Let's jump into the Mr. V machine.
I don't want to affiliate something as wholesome as Scooby-Doo with Cyberpunk. I think it's important too I know we talked about it a lot, but I think it's still important to say, this is a game that was the subject of much deserved criticism because it has used specifically transphobic marketing, imaging, I don't know. I actually think arguably just racist imagery and tonally stuff in its marketing. Alex's piece about crunch is really, really, really good, and maybe we should change the language around the way we talk about this stuff. But colloquially, it has been the subject of really awful, toxic crunch culture, horrible management. Just about there was the whole thing about how the game's not political. Like
it misses the point of Cyberpunk.
Yes, everything prior to this game's, and also it's it's an incredibly political game, so it's ridiculous to say it's not political.
I think Alex.
But I wanted to cap that off by just saying I think those things are really important. And I think you should look at some of the criticism from, and then there's the whole seizures thing.
That's
which
what
is
I was
terrible.
going to mention. The epilepsy thing.
Which is awful. Yeah. That at least there's a warning in there now at the start of the game. But
and still, I believe they have implemented a fix for it.
Oh, that's good. Like there was a big patch yesterday. So
we'll talk about that. That would be
great if they got that. But I just think it's important to say that it's, if you are someone who, I know a lot of people either personally or by following them that think that engaging with this game and talking about it at all is a failure, and I respect that point of view, and I think like everyone should go read Carolyn Pettit's review, everyone should go read Callie's review at GameSpot. Like there's a lot of reasons to not want to play this game, and I'm supportive of those. So I think not talking about it does like the discourse a disservice though, because this is an immensely popular game. Yeah, so I tend to agree with you. I just respect that point of view.
Oh yes, 100%. Like I am not going to say, oh no, you have to talk about this game, but
absolutely, yeah.
I have to say, the fandom surrounding it has been just exhausting.
It's awful.
I think on Twitter, etc., I've described it as basically the Rick and Morty fandom, but for video games at this point.
And it's
I mean, there's plenty of Rick and Morty fandom for video games. Like that is the video game fan. That Venn diagram is a circle.
Yeah, but it is particularly bad with this game.
It is like the marketing and like people. Prime example of people working themselves up into a frenzy, thinking this is going to be the game and like it's going to be perfect and anything is worth it, and like. I've spent 7 hours with it, and I'm not gonna say that like all the stories we got about like the culture and stuff at CD Projekt Red around like creating this game like warranted it. Like it's a game I am into, like mechanically. It's very much just an immersive sim, like a Dishonored or a Prey. In a big open world or a Deus Ex, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like an especially groundbreaking one of those, other than like its size and like scope, and you know the technical feats are impressive. They've done some, like, you know, I got this new 3070 and this is the first game where I feel like I'm really putting it through its paces.
Yeah.
There are some like really impressive character modeling things, like this lady I met has like a fur like trim on her coat, and I was like, wow, that like actually like looks like I can make out like individual like bits of fur.
Is it Tress effects?
No, I did not see a Tress effects in the menu, but yeah, and like there are still like janky things or like you know, like weird hair texture or whatever, but like that was like, oh, like she's got that, and it's like interacting like fairly well with like the things around her. There's not a ton of clipping, there's some, but you know, stuff like that where I'm like, okay, no, this does look pretty good, and like the neon colors and all that stuff is of course impressive. Sure. With the ray tracing and whatnot.
Yeah,
I'm playing on hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm playing on as well. And that's kind of the one at default. It
had like a weird barcode under it, so I was like, "This is." I think this is the one they want me to play on.
They're trying to denote it as you should play this one. I think.
But like running around, like I don't even know where to start with this game because like there's a lot going on. But you know, so it's an open world game. Question.
You played a fuck ton of The Witcher 3, and
I've got like 200 hours in The Witcher 3.
Yeah, it seems like it's a beloved thing to you. Does it feel like it shares similar DNA, or does it feel like the feel of it, is it completely different?
I mean, this is like a first-person immersive sim thing.
Of course, but like the act of playing it, does it feel similar, or like does it feel like it's the same studio, or does it feel like they've evolved and just made something totally
like
different?
There are similarities in like, oh, I can walk up to this person, it's like, oh, talk, and they're just gonna like spit out like a single line of dialogue, which was like a lot of what was in The Witcher.
Sure.
Driving around the world is terrible. You know, so you know, there the quests, like the writing, the side quests, the characters are good. So you know, there are like this feels like a CD Projekt Red game. It just like, it is not, don't go in expecting The Witcher 3 in terms of like experience. It's a very different thing, but you're going to get the quests and the stories and stuff like that.
The thing I won't spend.
You can also loot so much stuff.
I won't hog the mic for too long because you played a lot more than me. But I think the thing I have played through that opening thing that they showed in E3 for E3, that first E3 demo in the apartment.
The lady in the tub.
Yeah. And it feels I have played through that and then gotten back to the apartment. So very early. What I have played so far, I have frankly really, really enjoyed playing. But the thing is, it feels like junk food. In the sense that, like, I will be totally honest that, like, taking the lady out of the tub and then you have to, like, holy shit, you got to pull the chip, and like, oh fuck, she's flatlining. We got to get her a hypo. Shit. Her platinum insurance comes up. The corporate trauma team comes in and like is like, put her on the ground. The whole time I was just like, holy fuck, this is so cool. Like, this is so fucking rad.
I think because it was that E3 demo, like I saw it and I was like, yeah, I know what happens here.
No,
so
I know,
it wasn't as like impactful.
Even playing through it, but the thing is also that I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's doing anything particularly deep so far from what I've seen.
Yeah.
That stuff looks rad. It's like conceptually stuff that I think is really cool, but it's not like, the thing about The Witcher 3 is that even from the word go, even having played the first two Witcher games, The Witcher 3 feels like it takes some risks narratively, like in the intro. And I don't feel that that's the case with what I've seen so far of Cyberpunk. It feels very much like this is going to look fucking rad and the writing is going to be good, but we're not actually trying to like push any storytelling boundaries here.
This game also doesn't have Geralt in a tub.
Yeah. If it was Geralt that you pull out of that ice bath, Whole
Now
other
we're
story.
talking.
Yeah, and you know he'd hang dong. So
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you can hang dong in the character creator.
exactly. I should have made Geralt. What was I thinking?
Can you? Maybe you can. I bet you can in Dark Souls or Demon Souls.
Yeah, that's
you can
what
make
it should
you can make Kanye. People are making Kanye in Demon Souls. You can make a real good Kanye.
There's probably boots that look like those.
You Yeezys.
Anyway, I think from the very little bit that I've played, it's like very much a style over substance thing here, whereas I feel like The Witcher is almost substance over style in some ways.
Yeah. Like I need to play a lot more to see like what's going on with the story.
Yeah.
But like kind of going back to like this game isn't political. It obviously has like so many like political like stories and things thrown in, but like, you know, like little like excerpts from stories you're picking up or like news things, and but all of it so far just feels like toothless, and it's like,
Yes, exactly.
well, who could say if this is bad? Like some of it like literally is just like, this book aims to just look at it and not make any judgments on whether this is good or bad, just explain it. And this game just feels like we're just going to present a lot of things to you, and we're not going to make any statements ourselves. We don't have any opinion on it. We just think it looks cool.
That's kind of like, that's how this like trauma team stuff is, right? Like the reason I think it's rad is because when I see like, oh, they have the platinum insurance, which covers, they say like, it says like this will cover 90% and blah, blah, blah. And to me, I go, yeah, health insurance is fucked. This is like a natural evolution of that. And I think this is rad because like, we're staring into a pit of despair in this city, and there's something about that is appealing to me. But that's only because I have the context that I do. If you don't know anything about healthcare or health insurance and you see that, it's like, whatever, the guys with the guns look cool. And it's not like the game's not helping you along at all, or like you said, it's not presenting any kind of opinion on this stuff,
at least so far.
So I think in some ways it's like very political, because everything about the genre that it's operating in is a response to political and economic conditions. But at the same time, it's not doing anything with those themes, which frankly, to me, I think means that it should be criticized, but also it's because I'm coming at it from my perspective, and I expected this all along as well. That's the other thing that's interesting about the fandom and the general critical response to this game. This game is very much, in my opinion, using its source material. Like if I saw some discourse around like the name Rocker Boy is stupid, and it's like, well, yeah, but that's what it's been called since 1989 in this universe. Like this, the Cyberpunk Cyberpunk 2020 is corny as fuck. It's like very much cheesy, over the top action movie cyberpunk shit. It is not Neil Stevenson. It's not like the deep, nuanced look.
It's Ready Player One.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think Pondsmith knew what he was doing when he wrote it. He wrote it to be pulpy. And so that's coming through a lot in this game, I think. Doesn't mean you can't be pulpy and say something deep, which I think the original source material seems, from what I've played so far, it does better from what I've heard. But a lot of that corniness and the like, my massive cock stuff is like, that's the tone of the material. And so I think that it's kind of like unsurprising to me, I guess. And that's why I'm still enjoying it so far, I think. Yeah. Even though if I were to write serious criticism about it, it would call that shit out. I am interested to see where the story goes and where this narrative stuff goes. But like, because I can read so much and be like, yeah, no, this is, you're really hitting on like corporate, you know, how terrible like corporate stuff is, and like the way it's just, you know, people like, oh, I'm in only a 20-year obligation to this company, and they don't make me augment my body with cybernetics, and then this other company, you need to do a 50-year obligation to, like, you know, with them and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, no, this is where we're going, but
the game doesn't so far hasn't like made any comments on that. And also there's just like every time I hit continue, there's like a weird like anti-Japanese kind of joke in there about whaling.
Oh,
It's just like there's like a boat, like the what is it, the Arasaka Corporation is one of the major corporations, has like a boat called the Kujira, which the game is happy to point out to you means whale, and then they make a joke like, oh, they brought it to Night City because whaling in Japan. Like, what? Okay,
weird.
What?
Yeah,
it was very strange and just like, okay, this is like, I see.
So Pat, I know Andre has posted one of his, but have you encountered just any amazing bugs? Just like things that are completely notable?
no, I can't say that I have. It's been pretty, like, it's been fine for me so far. I'll say that I turned off in other games that I've played that have ray tracing. I've turned it off, seen a big performance, like Call of Duty Cold War is a good example. That defaulted to having ray tracing on, and I turned it off, and I got a huge performance bump, and I didn't really notice that much of a difference, so I just left it off. In this game, I turned ray tracing off, and I was like, oh no, what do I need to do to get this back? Because without ray tracing, everything looked really flat. Like, it looked... The comparison I would make in the area that I was in when I turned off ray tracing is some of the environment geometry reminded me of Jedi Outcast. Which is an old ass game. When you turn ray tracing on, the like bloom and the reflections and the way that the lights kind of glow sort of hid some of that very simple geometry. But I was a little bit shocked how much better it like looks fine for a game from 8 years ago if you turn it off, but like actually like a modern game if you turn it on. So I thought that was interesting.
Which is like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, I know. I think that's probably a little bit extreme, and they might have just been the specific spot I was standing in. But yeah, but no real bugs. Just like I was like, yep, I'm gonna use DLSS and ray tracing to play this game.
It's a performance hog. Like even with 3070 at 1440p, which is their recommended stuff, it's still like 60 FPS maybe if you're good.
And I have to see what driving around is like.
That's where I've seen the most like.
That's where I've heard it's
hiccups.
The worst.
Yeah.
It's been fine at 60 for me through playing the tutorial and the E3 thing and the opening mission where I started as a nomad, and the opening mission as a nomad is you drive around in the desert at least quite a bit.
The driving sucks.
I didn't have a problem with it, but
it's like in the city, it's fucking terrible.
Sure, because in the desert it was fine, but
like the issue is like people don't respond to your car really. Like other cars will. They'll be like, oh hey, like honk their horn or whatever. But like pedestrians, they don't give a fuck. And then so you're like trying to like back out or like move your car or turn or something, and then like you'll just like hit a pedestrian and they'll like tumble down, and then the cops will be like, hey, what are you doing, get out of your car. And then you get in a like a shootout. I'm like, I didn't want this. I didn't want to kill nobody, just because the car stuff is not super great.
Yeah,
there's no like racing or anything in here. Like it's mostly just drive around. There's fast travel too. A few like unlock beacons and whatnot. But
the last thought that I really have, and then if you want to just have any mechanical thoughts, I haven't really played enough to have a deep.
Yeah,
the skill trees are wild. I think they were cool when I opened them.
There's a lot of stuff on there. Yeah. There's not. I haven't like gone like, okay, what do I want to do?
Yeah, I need to look through that stuff.
I haven't looked deep into the trees, but yeah.
The real thing that I was like kind of expecting based on the way that they frame how there's choices at the beginning, but the way that game starts is not good. Like once you get to the E3 demo, that part from onward I've felt has been really cool so far, but you pick a backstory and
it's like 3 of them.
Yeah, there's 3. In the very beginning I was like, oh cool, all right, I'm in the desert because I picked nomad and I'm talking to this cop and I'm telling him to fuck off, and like that's like, it's corny, but this is cool. This is what I was expecting. And then you meet Jackie and everything's cool up to that point, and then you have to do this cool, like, we're going over the border stuff, like there's cool stuff there, and then they're like in a garage and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna really make it in Night City, fuck yeah, man. And I was like, okay, so this is the part we're gonna drive into Night City, I'm gonna like start to understand like where I'm gonna be operating from at the beginning, and then it just plays a montage that's like 2 minutes long of boring music while you watch like your character from first person like dance and talk to people. And then it's like, and now the game starts, and it's just bad. Like, I think they should have just cut the whole opening part and said, just given you like a text background, and then started you at the E3 thing and said like, this is your best friend Jackie, you live here, or something.
Yeah,
it wasn't very good. The transition it felt so contrived just to be able to give you a different opening mission based on your backstory.
Yeah, it didn't really, because it's so short. It gives you a little bit of flavor. I don't know exactly what happened in yours, but like I did like Street Kid or whatever, and
I'm guessing that one's better.
Maybe I basically I was in a bar, had to fix my broken nose, and then get tasked with like this job. I hop in a car with a gang leader, and then we, like, there's like some stuff there, and then basically to get to the garage and do the Jackie thing, it takes like 5 minutes. And I was like, yeah, I guess, okay.
In the beginning of Nomad, you basically like climb a Far Cry tower too, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, the opening mission was fun to play. It just was, it was very jarring to go from standing in a garage with Jackie and fist bumping that we're buds now to like 2 minutes of bad cutscene, first person cutscene, and then to like where the story clearly actually starts was like,
yeah, it was like, why is this here?
Yeah.
Yeah, mechanically, like I said, it's a immersive sim. Like I'm playing this, trying to play it mostly stealthy. I'm not very good at it, and there's some bugs that make that difficult. Like sometimes if you like take a person out, people will just see their body somehow, even though they're like connected like through implants, but I don't think that's it, because one time they were like stuck through the floor, so I thought maybe like people down below saw them and that alerted everybody or something. I don't know, but that happened like a few times. I was like, this is crap. Then I eventually got past it, and then so you like, and there's a lot of like verticality in the stuff, so you can climb up on top of buildings and find windows and stuff to go in for like side stuff. I've yet to get like super deep into it, and there are a lot of forced gunfights basically in what I've played, and a lot of the side stuff is like forced combat that you can't get around, which is kind of lame. I'd like if there were more stealth options. Like I don't have like a stealth or like a non-lethal takedown from like range takedown yet. I don't know if I will get one. I think I probably, but I don't know. But that's like stuff I'd like to get, because I want to do like a tech stealth run, I think, Netrunner type stuff. But I'm enjoying it for like that stuff, like the getting to explore and poke around and like find solutions to problems. But it seems like there aren't as many solutions as I'd like so far. Mostly it's, do you want to be quiet and knock all these people out, or do you want to be loud and knock all these people out or kill all these people?
That's unfortunate, because like the Deus Ex part of it seemed like the most interesting. Like you can handle this situation in n number of ways, but if n is 2, then that's kind of like
like there are different narrative ways like things can play out.
Sure.
Like, so there's like a lot of permutations of things that can happen, and maybe they'll come back to like interact with you differently later in the game, but mechanically it has not seemed like super diverse yet. I know there are like a couple different ways you can get through some later stuff, and I've mostly done like some side stuff, but so maybe it's just the side stuff isn't super diverse. I'm not sure. But that's what I want to see and kind of get more of a feel for, is how diverse some of like the main story content and like the more interesting side stuff is, or the more like robust, because a lot of what I've done for side stuff is just like, oh, hey, you're in this area, hey, can you like, you know, knock this person out or like take care of this person for me, and just like put them in the back of a taxi. And so I've done a few of those, and those have been a little more limited. I don't know if like the actual more detailed side quests will be more robust.
Sure. Yeah, like I haven't played it, and I'm not going to play it, but I listened to the Bombcast and their long talk about it, and listened to most of the Beastcast. I haven't finished it yet because that just came out yesterday, and I was watching Assassination Classroom. But it sounds, just from outsider perspective, that the side content doesn't seem too substantive. Like there's not that much story to them. Like it just seems like they're kind of shallow. Is that kind of what you've run into?
I mean, I've not gotten super deep into any of the side stuff yet. It's still pretty directed. Like there are a few things I can do, but they're like, because I'm playing on hard, I think I need to level up more and get more like, you know, beefy for like, I've got one right now is a fist fight club type thing, a fight club type thing, which they had in The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3 rather, but you know, that option is in The Witcher. And so the similar thing here, but it's like a more robust melee system.
Yeah.
And so like there's a bit of that, and some stuff I can't actually go do yet. And I've had a few things that are just like, go to this thing and talk to this person to like get a new ability or get a skill point or something. So far I've not had anything interesting. Like I haven't had the Witcher 3's lady outside a hut saying, "Can you get my frying pan?" And then going like, or you know, most things have kind of felt like that, as opposed to like the more robust quests. Because like that quest is weird because everyone's like, "Is there more to this? Did I miss something?" Because
the frying pan quest?
Yeah, you just go in, you grab the frying pan, you give it to the lady, and there's like some like environmental storytelling.
Yeah,
but
there's more.
There's no like, it's not like a quest line.
No, but there's some like clever writing around like
yeah,
the stuff that's happened. Yeah,
but a lot of people are like, was this really? I was just supposed to go in and get the frying pan. Was that really it? So like, there's some, but there's not like that's most of what I've done so far is like, there's a little bit of writing around stuff and like flavor, but there's no like meaty quest tied to anything I've done so far.
Yeah. I think
at least in the side stuff.
It just seems like a game that is not really deserving of the lightning rod that it's become in some ways, like very much because of its marketing, which has been shitty all along. That kind of has like blown this thing up into something when it's really just kind of a I mean, it's like a not as good as Deus Ex, but open world Deus Ex kind of thing.
Does I'm interested in playing it. But does that make it seem like a victim of its own hype?
Totally. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you have a better insight into that than I do, Andre. But from everything I've seen people saying and playing, it sounds. I mean,
like I've seen the marketing basically at this point.
It's
you know, I've seen a little bit of the side stuff, but what I've seen is what they showed at E3. I've seen what most people who like followed it saw, probably, because I imagine most people didn't watch like the Night City Wire stuff. I watched a few of those, but they weren't all that.
I guess more in the play meaningful. Of it is the thing. Like that was something that I think, and it seems to be exactly what I expected it to be all along. But in fact, I actually think the shooting feels better than I thought it would. But it seems like for a lot of people, they were expecting, and I don't mean critics, I mean like fans. People who have been critical of it, who are players, who are like kind of attacking it, which is fine. I mean, it's their prerogative, but is expecting it to be like some kind of like big life simulation with like tons and tons of constant things to do that aren't even related to the story. And it kind of has that, but they're like, a guy calls you and says, go take out these dudes.
Yeah. Or it's, hey, there's someone, like some people are mugging some people on the side of the street, or,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
there's
not
like stuff like that. But
it's not like I think some people were expecting to be able to be like, I followed this NPC back to their apartment and had a conversation with them and started a relationship, and now we're dating in the game.
What?
It's I don't think it. I mean,
do people think that? What?
I don't know, but I feel like that's kind of what they
This isn't Star Citizen.
to a degree early on was like. URV is you're in a living, breathing city, and you're living your life as V, this mercenary, and who you sleep with is your choice. I remember there was a specific weird thing early on that was like how V spends her nights is up to you, including how you spend your time and who you spend it with. And it showed it like the character like getting up in the morning with a dude in her bed, and it's just like not. That's not really what that game is. It's a open world role-playing game.
Yeah.
It's not like some hugely.
It's the Peter Molyneux effect.
Totally, yeah. In some ways, I think that Peter Molyneux has probably made more breathing, responsive worlds than this game.
No game is better than Fable, but it's like
about that, but Fable's good.
No game is better than Fable: The Lost Chapters. There, are we settled? It's I want to play more of it. It's like, now that I've played it, it's like, it's very much like, okay, I know what this is. I have yet to like really like hit a point where I'm like, oh my God, I need to know what happens next. I'm like intrigued, and I'm like, I can see the double cross coming, partially because I saw the E3 marketing materials.
Right.
So like, I still have some things to like do that I have not seen. But I'll get to it. But like, I know the double cross is coming. I'm like, how do I play this leading into the double cross, knowing it's coming? Do I just lean all the way and like, he's going to double cross me anyway? I'll let him, but I'm going to fuck him over on the way.
It just doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like it's a must play at this point to me. I think if you're turned off by the marketing, you're not missing anything.
Just go play The Witcher 3.
Or go buy that awesome itch bundle that some people put together that was like, it's all like BIPOC and queer creators that did like Cyberpunk that explores like race and gender and stuff. Cool. That's like that bundle looks fucking rad. And if you want something in this flavor and you were turned off by the marketing, that seems to be that kind of stuff. Or play Umurangi Generation or play Valhalla
there are plenty of other things to play right now, and unless you're really into like the immersive sim stuff, and like, I think that would be the main thing.
Already played Dishonored?
You should play this. Yeah, if you haven't played Dishonored and you're playing Cyberpunk and you're like, hey, this is kind of neat, play Dishonored.
I might play Dishonored 2 before I put significant time into Cyberpunk.
I own it. Game Pass now.
I own it on like 4 consoles at this point, but it's not even on. I own it on more consoles than it's on.
Listener, if you can play Dishonored on Game Pass, you should play Dishonored.
Know what else you should play? Fucking like original ass Thief, like
fuck yeah! Like
the Dark Project.
Is that on Game Pass?
I don't think so, but
I don't have time. That's not true. It's hard for me to find time to stream where I'm motivated, and also my apartment is quiet because we have like one room in my apartment. But man, I would love to stream the Thief games because those games fucking rule.
They're really
so good.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
that is my current review of Cyberpunk: is go play Dishonored or Prey
or Thief.
I haven't played those games. I can't speak to it. Just don't play Thief 4 is my understanding.
No, don't play Thief 4. It's bad.
The fourth. All right, let's get into news.
Oh yeah, it's all good news this week.
Really?
No.
The Game Awards happened.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's a lot of. There's so much stuff.
We can
there.
quick fire the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
didn't watch
don't
it.
have to go in depth with any of it.
So
You could
was the
watch. You could watch the archive stream that we did with Super GG, if you want our real time thoughts.
that's on twitch.com/superggradio.
I don't
I believe it's on
Twitch.com.
twitch.tv.
Twitch.tv. I
GG.
don't know. I don't know.
I don't use Twitch.
What's a Twitch? I don't know if this was part of the Game Awards stuff. Halo is delayed or not. So they put a window on
That was
Halo
on, that was on
Infinite.
Monday. Yeah.
Was it?
They announced a
heard.
bunch of stuff for it, and then one of the things that kind of popped up in the back end of it was like, oh yeah, and then when you are seeing this in fall 2021, it's like, wait, oh okay.
So they put a window on it, which is like a year delay total.
Because like I think they slightly messaged that they intended for it to be like Q1, Q2.
Yeah, I think as well.
I don't know if I ever
I
saw
remember
that.
seeing that somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but
I feel like that was some assumptions people.
It
were
might have
making.
been an assumption, but I think it was a relatively reasonable assumption.
Reasonable, yes, but this is like wow.
I mean, if they delayed it a year, they're reworking that game to a degree.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, a year
They-
isn't long enough to remake it, but
they did put in some screenshots that to kind of like reassure people.
Comcast put the data caps back in, so
Yeah, thanks Comcast. But yeah, they put in a screenshot that looks real nice, as if to say like, look, it doesn't look like shit now.
I wonder if that game is gonna not be a Far Cry, like it sounds like it was gonna be. Now that they're,
yeah, maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
That game has been
I
in
hope
development
it's
for like
good.
8 years.
The thing about it that, as someone who
Like 5 at this
likes
point?
Halo, I haven't played 5, but I liked 4 well
They put a
enough.
Gauss gun on the mongoose.
What it seems like Halo 1 through 3 and Reach and ODST as well were games that existed because Bungie had a story to tell and came up with like, or they had a really ripping shooter to make and came up with a cool story for it. I don't know which one of those things came first.
It was
well,
probably
it was-
they made 2 really good ones, and then Microsoft is like, hey, you're making way more of these.
Also, Halo was originally like a bunch of dudes running around on a hill from an isometric perspective. So
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but I guess what I'm saying is,
for the Mac,
like those
For the
first,
Mac.
it seemed like those games had purpose, and 4 seemed like they're trying to get another game out of it. It's still fun. It's fine. I haven't played 5.
another Halo.
Was 4
This-
343?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is starting to feel like this is just like the biggest, like, this is a product. This is not a like,
Well, we got to make a Halo.
yeah. I feel like they should just, I mean, they can't from a marketing perspective, from a brand perspective, but I feel like they should just go like, you know what, we're done. We did 5 of these things. We don't know what we're doing. We don't have anything interesting to do or say anymore.
They got to put the Master Chief in Fortnite.
But I guess my point is you can still do that.
They did that.
You can still make a bunch of Halo stuff.
No, because the game's been in development so long, kids don't know who the Master Chief is.
That's the thing. I mean, that's the point, right? Is like,
Probably very true, honestly.
yeah, but then they need brand stuff. It's just, this game just doesn't seem
Game's
like it
also
has
rated
any
M.
soul at this point.
Yeah, but so's Kratos or God of War.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
And,
that, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
In contrast, God of War, even though I think there are problems that were not talked about enough with that 2018 God of War felt like a game where they were like, you know what? It's time to return to this. We have something we want to say about this series and this character.
And it's being a dad changes who you are as a person.
Which is
I mean,
like, yes, I think
that's-
that game is not as, I think that game's overrated, but it's still really good and it still says something at least.
Yeah, I mean, like, when it comes down to it, like with God of War 2018, it's a total reset of the universe, but it still has Kratos. Whereas, like Halo 4, Halo 5, you're still fighting the fucking Covenant. And there's still like USM
And the Flood.
and it's like in the flood, like it's all still there.
too.
Yeah, but it's still, there's still the Flood and the Covenant.
Like
It's not that different.
God of War, sure, some Greek stuff comes up like or not Greek, Roman stuff comes up very, very briefly.
No, Greek.
But like,
It's Greek.
Was it Greek? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it comes up he's Roman, right? Is that what it is?
No, he's
I
Greek.
forget.
I can't remember, but
He's Spartan. He's Spartan.
yeah, that's
Goes
right.
to
What am I saying?
Sparta.
Yeah, he's Spartan. He's Greek.
Yeah.
It's all
Anyways.
Greek. It's all Greek to me.
So, like, there's like 20 minutes in that game where that stuff shows up as kind of like a nod to the past, but it's not the core of it like it is with Halo.
I think the most powerful thing about God of War is, in some ways, that sequence to me is the core of it, not because it is prominent throughout the game, but more because that is the moment where, as a studio, Sony Santa Monica is saying, we know what this series was in the past and it's different now, and it's such a flashpoint of growth for both the character in the game and from like a meta perspective. So like, you're right, but also they did such a good job of making those things powerful. Whereas in like Halo 4, at least, I can't speak to 5, there's nothing like that there. It's just like, we made another one of these. And
but they also like went out of their way to be like, this is happening in a new galaxy, and like this is after the end of Halo 3, which was like the end of that whole arc. And they're like, all right, Master Chief's been plunged into the depths of space. What new adventures will he get up to? And then it's the same adventure.
the same ones, yeah. Totally.
With the flood and the humans and the Covenant.
Exactly. So like, Halo needs to switch it up, and hopefully Infinite does that. But I don't know. They keep saying it's going to be like Halo 1, and it's like, well, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I may end up loving it. I don't know.
Sure.
I like Halo 1 a lot, so
it might be great.
But I don't know.
So the Game Awards happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the game announcements happened, and there were some awards sprinkled in there.
It's way less of an award show this year, even more so than like last year, where it was barely an awards show.
Yeah, it seems every year. Yeah, it seems every year they just devote less and less time to the awards, and it's like, what's even the point?
This year, it even felt like that's been true for a while, and there's a part of me that's like, well, obviously, but this year it would be like Jeff Keighley, like, and the nominees for Best Action Game are Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, blah 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 blah, and the winner is Hades, yay! And then
and then straight to the next category. They would do like 3 categories at a time, and then be like, okay, yeah, no, we're done. Okay, great. Now to 20 more trailers.
And sometimes they don't even like say the nominees. They're just like, and the winner of best score or whatever. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then if you want to celebrate the games, but
what was it? The Whooper Watch that kept coming up.
God,
that got more time than some of the awards, I think.
Yeah, but that was probably a sponsorship deal that paid the bills. So
yeah,
probably. It's a strange one.
Anyway,
cool
so speaking of paying the bills, we had some announcements.
Let's go to the ad break.
No, I mean, speaking of paying the bills,
go to the money zone.
Here's how Keighley paid those bills. BioWare is apparently, hey, remember Dragon Age?
No.
Yeah, and neither does BioWare, because they're making a new Mass Effect game.
Boom. No, the Dragon Age trailer was really cool.
What I'll say about the Dragon Age
I don't believe
trailer,
that's a game yet.
I don't believe it is either, and we don't know anything. I mean, that game could be rad as hell because it's a totally different set of people working on it for them largely, or it could be not at all Dragon Age.
What if they went back to a CRPG style?
That's fine with me. I'm up for it. I like Dragon Age 2 more than 1, but still,
I like both 1 and 2. So.
But I like 1. But I think the art style was really cool that they showed
of the new one.
Yes,
you said during the Super GG stream with Brock of Damage Boost and all that. Like, you said something to the extent of like, this looks like a JRPG.
It looks like Final Fantasy, like when they show the city and stuff, and like the design of the characters. Yeah. It looked like it specifically reminded me of like if you took Final Fantasy 9 and made it like not chibi, like if you made it like a more realistic style and kind of because of like the way the spires and that city looked and stuff. I don't know. I will play that game because the art style was fucking rad. So as long as the game is decent,
it had like
cool.
floating castles and like
it had
like fantasy style neon lights going on, and
Yes.
like there was a bow that was made of light. Like it looks way more like
It sounds cool.
yeah, like it looked kind of rad. But like
Yes.
obviously, yeah, who knows if it's actually a game we're gonna see in our lifetimes? But like
Because like every time they show that game, it's like so far until now
they
it's
show the
been like
concept arts.
yeah, they're showing concept art and people with like mesh maps. Is that mesh maps?
maps.
I can't say that. I keep saying like mesh
Wet
naps.
naps, wet
Normal
naps,
maps, etc.
And
Wet
yeah,
maps. Yeah.
bump maps.
like,
PNGs.
yeah, just they're looking
Pillars
at
of
like
Eternity maps.
looking like reference photos of like trees.
Path of Exile maps.
And
sorry,
that's
yeah, what was I thinking of?
that's Pillars of Eternity is free on the Epic Game Store right now.
It is. I was thinking about Path of Exile. Whoops. Other
Well,
PoE.
Epic
That's
was
really
too.
funny that I thought you were making a joke about that.
Yeah.
By
Epic-
saying
Epic-
Pillars of
yeah.
Eternity.
Worked out.
Anyway.
Sorry, Andre. I
yeah,
didn't
I
mean
don't
to
know.
interrupt.
The art was cool.
No, yeah.
The art was cool, and they didn't show anything about what the game is. So
No, they didn't
it was,
show
it
any
was a
kind
CG
of
trailer
gameplay.
with some cool art.
Which is the exact same thing they've shown again and again. Like
At least-
I don't
I mean,
know why they keep doing this.
But at least I think this was distinct because it was like 2 minutes of actual art assets. I mean,
yeah,
of
yeah.
not
animated
in-game assets,
things,
but
like,
yes,
yeah.
it wasn't concept art. It wasn't people talking over it. It was like 2 minutes of this is what the world looks like in this game now, and that was at least a thing.
Now,
But-
that being said, and this can be said for the Mass Effect thing, which we can get to in a second, they keep potentially shooting themselves in the goddamn foot by just like setting expectations extremely early.
I don't even know if they're setting expectations. They're just like they're getting out there like way. I mean, they're getting out there and saying, "Hey, we're making a thing," when they really don't need to.
And-
Like part of it,
yeah.
part of it is like games don't need to be so secretive about these
Sure.
things, but also like they're so early
Yeah,
in
I
these
mean,
projects that like they barely even exist.
That's what I go back to is who in enthusiast, what gamer, whomst among us thought that they weren't making a Mass Effect game?
Didn't they say that like 2 weeks ago that they were?
I assume there is
I thought
always
they
a Mass
did.
Effect game in development at BioWare.
Yeah, but I thought they were like,
lucrative franchise. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they did say like, and we're working on the next entry in the Mass Effect franchise, and that's
pretty
not
sure
like
they
an announcement. But
Yeah,
it's-
I'm pretty sure they were like, "Oh, Casey Hudson is here, and now after Andromeda and that nightmare, we're working on a new Mass Effect."
but
that'll
like
be a
no, but
good
like
one."
2 weeks ago, before Casey Hudson
Yes.
left, like the
Specifically,
last,
yes, you are correct.
Like the last thing they put out
announced
was
they announced the trilogy coming, and they said
Yeah.
we are also working on the next chapter in the Mass Effect universe or whatever.
yeah.
So I guess to me though, it's like these are two of EA's most lucrative original IPs. There will always be a Mass Effect game in development forever. It might be that they take a break between actually like releasing them because one of them's received poorly or whatever. But they're gonna make Mass Effect forever. Even after BioWare's gone, they'll be making Mass Effect. Someone will take it. So I guess that's the thing about same thing with Dragon Age. I thought the Dragon Age thing was cool because at least it showed that like maybe the art style is getting some changing up and like the visual direction they're going in is neat. But the Mass Effect thing, I think it's exciting for fans. Like I don't want to take that away from anyone to have that confirmation. But it's also just like it's just a
That
weird,
game's 5 years away at the least.
yeah.
What's going to
We
come?
might be
What's
on a
going to
new
what's going to come?
generation of consoles.
What's going to come first? Starfield or new Mass Effect?
Starfield.
Also, I want to say too, I get it because when they showed the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser, that was absolutely fucking nothing last year.
No, yeah,
It was
like that. Basically,
even
that
less
was,
than this Mass Effect thing.
Here is where it will be set.
Yes,
Yeah,
and they
here's
didn't
a
even say that
bird's
really
eye-
out loud.
bird's
I
eye
don't
view.
think did they?
No, yeah, no, they did,
was
but
just-
everyone was able to like figure it
Yes.
out based on the
So,
geography.
and I was fucking hyped for that. So don't get me wrong. I understand like if you're a fan of Mass Effect, I just don't. really understand what it's.
I guess
how it serves them.
I guess, yeah, because like I think the expectation here now is people are assuming that they were showing like characters from that original trilogy, like Liara and like maybe,
Which is cool.
Not it would be Morden, unless it could be.
It could be.
There's a Solarian, but
No,
that'd be like a weird timing thing.
There's a way for Morden to live.
Okay, is there? Okay, oh, yeah, I guess there is. Yeah, if you're a bad person, Jesus Christ.
If you let Rex die, yeah. But no, I will be the other side of this because I think it looks fucking great from what they're potentially implying, where they've basically come out and not confirmed, but they've loosely confirmed that it's going to be a sequel to both Andromeda and Mass Effect 3.
Sure.
With Liara at the head of it. And that's like, if you're playing as Liara, who is the Shadow Broker, there's a lot of fucking stuff that could happen.
Not if you can't be the Shadow Broker anymore, because there's nothing left.
And it's less that it's less that I think that it's not cool. I think it's really cool, and there's a lot you can infer if you're a big fan from that trailer. I think because
that's how they shot themselves in the foot, though.
But that's what I'm agreeing. Yeah, it's that's the problem is that this game isn't going to come out for 5 to 10 or 5 to 6 probably at least years.
It's going to be another Cyberpunk,
and so. Well, I mean, hopefully what they'll do is shut up about it and not talk about it for another year or two, and then it'll actually be
for much longer. That's what they do with Dragon Age, and it's still barely anything.
That's what I'm saying is like, to some extent, it's like, it sucks. I don't have deep feelings about it either way because my Mass Effect fandom has waned. I want to play the trilogy when it re-releases. And talk about it more critically and think, because I'm thinking about, like, I want to rekindle what I felt when I first played it, but it seems like it would be kind of painful if you're a big fan to go like, okay, well now I know I have to wait years and years. Like Elder Scrolls 6 being set where it is cool. I can be patient for it, whatever. There's always going to be an Elder Scrolls game in development as well. If they were like, oh, it's Morrowind 2 and here's characters from that game that are coming back, I would have been like, well, fuck. I don't want to have to I have to sit on my hands knowing this for like 3 to 4 years. Fuck you guys. And I think that's how I would feel about Mass Effect if I were a big Mass Effect fan, because it's like, this isn't even a game yet. You've implied that you intend to make a game that has Liara at the front, that is a sequel to both Andromeda and Mass Effect 3.
And that puts so much pressure on them. Earned or unearned, it doesn't matter. Like, they did it to themselves.
Well, the marketers at EA did it to them. Okay. Well, next story. Mario's dead.
Yep.
I wish.
Who killed him?
Through the heart.
Sephiroth. Alex, I need you to cut right before that and then sync us all up.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I'll say this about that.
Just intro. Cut out the Sephiroth bit, and
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about Smash at all. I respect it. I mean, it's cool. I'm not shitting on it. There are people who do. Most people don't give a fuck about Flight Simulator, and that's fine too. But
I'll poop on Smash. I didn't like it.
I think it's fun. I play it with friends when I'm visiting friends, which is something we can't do now. But
Sad.
when the like thing when reality got like sliced in half and it started playing the bum 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 bum, I was like, yes, because that music just is like, I wasn't even that like, I was like, oh, Sephiroth, that makes sense, Cloud's in there. I wasn't like blown away by the concept of Sephiroth being in Smash. But basically, if it were like a Chef Boyardee commercial and it sliced in two and started playing that music and Sephiroth showed up and started eating ravioli, I would be like, fuck yeah.
just one ravioli on the end of the sword.
Man. Sephiroth that just rules.
Way
Sephiroth's
more
music
appealing.
rules. Final Fantasy VII rules.
What if I told you, Pat, that this DLC is Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2?
I would play Smash then, I guess.
What if? Oh man, now I just want like Chef Boyardee, but they just replaced the chef with Sephiroth on all the packaging, and he's just,
there's gotta be some kind
Seph
of canned
Boyardee.
pasta. There's gotta be some kind of canned pasta in Japan from some point in the last 20 years that has Sephiroth on it.
I'd probably be in the past like 30 years. What, 25?
25 years, sure. The game came out in like 97, 98.
Was it? Japan would probably be.
I just looked it up the other day because I had to talk about how I was an OG Final Fantasy VII fan.
one-winged beefaroni.
Yes.
That's the podcast title. That or Seph Boyardee.
Sephiroth rules. That announces rules. I keep watching people react to it, less because I care about their reactions and more because I want to hear the music again. I listened yesterday while I was working. I listened to the Final Fantasy VII MIDI soundtrack because I was like, fuck yeah.
At this point, if you're gonna put Cloud in your game, you just have to put Sephiroth there because we know, because like now we know what's coming. Like you just announce it at the same time. Like
the one thing that I think they should have done, if they're already putting Sephiroth in, that would have actually had me go, well, fuck, I'm gonna buy this character pass, is at the end when they did the scene from Advent Children where like Cloud and Sephiroth were talking, a Keyblade should have like hit the earth and either like Sora or Roxas should have shown up, or it should have just faded to black as like there will be Kingdom Hearts in this game, but we're not telling you what yet.
And it's Kyrie.
That would rule too. That would have been the thing that would have like actually sent me completely over the edge into now I care about Smash.
Or if not Kyrie, Donald Duck.
The problem is Disney is
Yeah,
the
of
issue with
course.
Kingdom Hearts.
No, of course.
But like Disney is the issue with like Kingdom Hearts in general. Like
I think the original. I think we can say Disney is the issue. And
yeah, Disney is the issue.
And
yeah, you know what? I don't. You know what isn't an issue?
What's that?
There's a new Fulbright game.
oh,
Hell yeah.
yeah, can't
And
wait.
it looks like
That's
anime,
gorgeous.
kind of.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's set in the 80s. And I don't know.
Road trip story set in the 80s, made by Fulbright.
It
Who's the
looks like anime.
Who were the people starring in it?
I don't know. Probably everybody.
No. It was
Vin Diesel.
It was specific people it was rad. It was
Crap.
Vin Diesel.
I'm looking it up.
Kerry Russell?
Kerry Russell was one of them. Yep.
I don't remember the other.
Yeah,
Dwayne
but it was someone else.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Not Vin Diesel. He was the
Kerry
other one.
Russell and Caitlin Dever.
Oh, right.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I am so excited for that.
Yeah, I still haven't played Tacoma, but we talked about it.
You gotta play Tacoma.
The problem is, like, I remember some of the twist stuff, and so, like, I'm sure there's like lots of great stuff in there, but like, I try to forget like the twist stuff so I can like just fully enjoy it. But I'm never gonna do that, so I just
Tacoma
need to
is like
suck it up and play it.
Tacoma is like it's like if you broke down the feeling of like, I'm gonna do a fist pump, I'm doing a fist pump, I've done a fist pump, that's like Tacoma. Because it's like it
Beautiful
starts,
way to describe it.
it starts good and you're like, oh shit, I know this is going to be good because it's Fulbright, and then it's good in the middle, and then like the ending is like, holy fucking shit, this is one of the best video game endings I've seen in a while. It's a phenomenal game. And Gone Home is the same way.
Yeah,
They just they are a studio that, to me, I think like the term perfect.
They don't miss.
They make like kind of perfect games in a way, like I'm not saying that they make the best games, period, but they don't miss. I mean,
they have an intense attention to detail,
and they follow through on everything that they try to do. And I think that just like from a narrative perspective, from a like environmental perspective, and I'm excited to see a game that has more. This looks like the kind of game that's going to have more like direct you participating in conversation with the character kind of thing, which is something they haven't really done. Their previous two games have been about exploring spaces that have been abandoned, which I think is interesting in some ways is why they're so powerful.
Tacoma was so good.
Yeah,
You just reminded me of like the whole like listening to those narratives and watching it from separate angles at the same time. Fuck, it's so good.
Yes, it's really good. Yeah, but and underappreciated IMO.
Absolutely.
But anyway, very excited for Open Roads.
Speaking of Vin Diesel, Ark.
The funny thing on the stream was how he came on screen. We're like, "Is that Vin Diesel?" And then he went like, ugh. And all of us were like, "Oh yeah, that's Vin Diesel."
I was 100% sure that was actually in actuality Vin Diesel.
Animated or was it live
CGI.
action?
It was
CGI
Okay.
for Arc 2, yeah.
It was like Uncanny Valley.
Oh wait, so wait, they announced Ark 2. I missed. Okay.
Oh yeah, so that was it.
I thought he was starring in like an Ark anime.
No, there's
Two
also
things.
that,
Yes.
which has an
One.
insane list of people.
Yeah,
I thought
we
Vin
should pull
Diesel
that
was
up.
on that list.
He is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The thing that kicked it off though was a long, like really long CG trailer that we all thought was going to be Turok, and then
Yeah, we did.
and then Vin Diesel was interacting with this like portal thing.
Pat, you should know better. You played a lot of
So
Ark
that's the
this
thing.
year.
He was interacting with this portal thing, and I was like, "Where is that from? I know."
Yeah,
that.
I knew it too.
I know that. And it was one of the things in Ark. And then I was like, wait, is this Avatar? Because the environment looked like Avatar, but then I was like, no, Avatar doesn't have real dinosaurs in it. And then the as soon as the music picked up and the logo started to form, I was like, oh, this is Ark 2, which
Yeah.
I think Ark is fucking rad. It's very hard to play.
Isn't Ark still in like early access or some shit?
Oh no, it's been out
Came
for a
out
long time.
a while
It's
ago.
had multiple.
It has
It has
expansions.
tons of expansions. Yeah. They just did a narrative thing. Like their last expansion was like narrative driven kind of.
Sorry to interrupt. Sam just interjected some great information in the chat. They announced Sephiroth in Smash at the exact same time they announced Disney was making Sister Act 3.
Yes. There's a kind of funny.
That's very funny.
You should find the spot because as they're freaking out, a couple of them are freaking out about Sephiroth and Smash. I think it's Andy Cortez is a Sister Act fan, and somebody said, "Andy, they're making Sister Act 3," and he like flips out. That's very
amazing.
funny.
That's super funny.
But yeah, I hope that Arc 2 is like a little less Arc and a little more
Ark 2,
an open world RPG kind of thing.
Ark 2 Furious. 2 Ark 2 Furious.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. You got
Two
it.
pooping.
The problem with Arc games is they're really hard to play by yourself, and you definitely don't want to play
Well,
with
now you
strangers.
can play it with Vin Diesel.
That's what I'm saying is I hope that. So the problem is that they've done Arc trailers in the past for things that have had like semi-famous models and like European actors and stuff, which is funny because that game is made here in Seattle.
I didn't know. I
always
actually
had
didn't know that.
Yeah, I always had the impression that company was a European company
I
because
thought
of
it
the
was
kind
an
of game it is.
Eastern European
Yes.
company
Because of the
specifically.
kind of game it is, and because of how janky it is and stuff, I definitely ascribed it to Eastern European developer. It's made in Seattle. Anyway, Arc is really good. I hope Arc 2 is good. If it's just Arc again, but prettier, I'm not probably going to play it, but I hope that it's more than that and kind of a different thing. And then that anime is fucking wild. Like after the CG trailer of Arc 2, it was like, oh, cool. And then they cut to black and then they cut to animated stuff. And it was like,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this is still Arc because it had specific dinosaurs from Arc.
Gerard Butler, David
Yeah,
Tennant.
yeah.
Yes, specific dinosaurs. Gerard Butler, David Tennant.
Yeah.
And then when the cast showed up, it was just like,
Well,
what
they
the
did it
fuck
line by
is-
line. So Andre,
Yeah.
you're looking at a full
Yeah.
card, but they were doing it line by line. So we were like, Gerard Butler, David Tennant. And then it got down. And I was like, Elliot Page and Carl Urban. What the fuck, Malcolm McDowell? It was like, what is this cast?
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, like it was intense. It's a crazy
would
cast for something
you-
like that.
Okay, yeah, I'm not even gonna be like
Alan
ask who would
Tudyk,
you
yeah.
want in an Arc
Wait, Alan
anime
Tudyk?
because like
Yeah, Alan
Oh.
Tudyk's on this list. Who would I want?
no, like,
Am
I don't
I-
even care. Like,
where?
it's like
Oh, is he
none of us are gonna
not?
watch
He's
this.
not on this one that is in our chat.
Oh no, I'm looking at it. I just Googled it.
Alan
The
Tudyk is in
thing
there?
that I see.
Huh.
I mean, that makes
Yeah.
sense. He'll do a thing where he says, "Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal."
But like
And
Carl
like the
Urban,
dinosaurs will fight.
Then he'll
That's
get into the Serenity and fly
Michelle
away.
Yeoh. Like,
Michelle Yeoh was the one at first. I was like, wow, Michelle
Yeah.
Yeoh, that's a big name. And then they
Yeah.
kept going. I was like, what the fuck?
Right, yeah. Yeah, that could be
Yeah.
great. I don't know.
It could be awesome. Ark has cool lore, I'll say. It definitely spoilers for Ark. So take your headphones off if you don't want Ark spoiled. Put your damn headphones back on.
Wait, for the listeners at home, both Andre and I took our headphones off.
No, it's like you start off and it's like, oh, I'm on a like lost island in the Pacific or something, and stuff is weird here. And then it's pretty obvious early on, but you're actually like floating in a spaceship with like a dome over it that's like a simulated habitat that this alien race is like trying to like, they're like experimenting on humans by dropping them in these simulated environments and seeing how they deal with the like hazards of. That's why there's like Ark expansions where there's dragons and stuff, is because it's like this alien race that's making you do all this stuff. It's pretty cool. The lore is like simple, kind of goofy sci-fi stuff, but it's fun. And the anime could be really cool if they actually have like good writing and a good cast.
Yeah, and they have a good cast. So
Alex ruined it because I was just going to have us be silent and then just immediately move on to Microsoft finally revealed what the initiative has been working on.
oh yeah.
Perfect
That
Dark, which
that
has
trailer
been
was
heavily
so
rumored for a
good.
while. Their
It didn't
quadruple A game, Perfect Dark.
It did not look like Perfect Dark for the first 3/4 of that trailer. Like it was like set in Egypt and like had all this stuff going on, which now in retrospect, thinking about the Egypt connection, like makes sense. But then it like zoomed into this building and I was like, I forgot the name of the company when we were doing the stream, but it was like, it's very clearly the Datadyne logo. And it's like, oh fuck, this is Perfect Dark. And yeah, sure enough.
Yeah, it was, I mean, again,
Was
the
Wall
trailer
Guy
told us
there?
nothing. That trailer just told us it was a Perfect Dark game. But
I wish Wall Guy was there.
there will be a Wall Guy reference in there for sure.
Yeah. I really liked Perfect Dark when it came out.
I don't
I've
remember the story
never
at all.
Played
but
a
I remember
Perfect Dark game.
The
Just
story
playing it was really fun.
The story was very stupid.
Yeah.
It's not even really worth talking about the story, frankly.
No, yeah, it's fine.
Like,
I remember
you
it
get-
being really good. I always liked it more than GoldenEye to play multiplayer, and my friends like GoldenEye more, so we played more GoldenEye. But
yeah, I never played Perfect Dark 2, honestly, but like the Skadar were cool enemies. They're like the kind of like Starship Trooper bug looking things, and then there's all the gray aliens and that with like they had the cloaking device. Yeah, I don't know. That could be good.
the initiative is pretty stacked with talent, from what I understand.
From people from Santa Monica area, so like Sony Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, other
It
developers.
sounds like they basically made that studio there because there were people who wanted to work for them but didn't want to move, and they were people who were good enough to say, okay, we'll make you a studio then.
Yeah, I mean, you build a studio, like they made a big deal about it being in Santa Monica,
Yes.
and like you do that because there's a lot of talent in Santa Monica.
Yeah. So I'm excited for it. Again, it didn't tell us anything. The trailer just told us that we knew Initiative was making a game. It being Perfect Dark is fun, but who knows what that means. I'm just excited that they're making a shooter that could be really fucking cool. So
Maybe it's not a shooter, maybe it's a walking simulator.
you got it. I hope. You know what?
They what is it? Campo Santo sold the rights to their game to the Microsoft, and now the Initiative made it into a Perfect Dark game.
Valley of the Gods starring Joanna Dark.
Yes.
Honestly, I wish it was. I think I like walking simulators more than shooters, so would have been fine with it.
What is Hood?
Oh yeah, this game
Yeah.
looks
Is this
sick.
like a Robin Hood game? What is
Yeah.
this? Is it? Oh, actually, okay.
PvE Robin Hood game.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and it's like very very violent.
Can I
Yeah,
be
it's
Little
like-
John?
yes.
Yeah.
It's like you play as different characters. I hope.
And
that
he's
you
a
can do
big
that,
he's a
Lil
big
Josh.
bear.
Okay.
You play as different characters, and it's like a PvPvE competitive heist game.
So it's like Crucible.
No,
No.
I hope not.
God.
It is not. It does not look like it is primarily a stealth game either. It looks like it's more of a like.
Andre, it took me a not insignificant amount of time to connect the neurons of what Crucible even was. That's how fast it left the
Hopefully, it's not
discourse.
like Crucible.
No, it did
Anyway,
not look like Crucible.
This was not an announcement. They actually announced this earlier this year at one of the many events. And I already then was like, this looks sick. And this is the first time they've shown gameplay though, I think. And it looks rad. I'm pushing very hard to convince my friends to play it, even though one of the group is not into PvP. He seemed to indicate he would give it a shot still. So unless it's complete doo-doo, that's a day oneer for me, because it looks really, really cool.
No, Focus Home Sumo. Okay, I see. I see.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it has some pedigree too. It's not just like totally out of nowhere.
Yeah, this is very violent. Wow.
Yes. Insurgency is pretty good. I think they've worked on that. Maybe Sumo did. I don't remember exactly what Sumo has done in the past, but looking at Steam, they've been involved in a lot of like contract stuff on other games. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm excited for that.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm just looking at this trailer like, what? Okay, I
It
guess.
looks cool.
Next up, Season.
Yeah.
This looks
That game looked
very
fucking
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like it's
Okay.
yeah.
It looks like a big open world walking sim.
Yeah, like it looks like a giant open world walking sim with like a beautiful art style, and it
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and not wholly unlike like an Umurangi Generation in that it looks like you're doing photography and stuff like that. Like that's
Yes.
one of your large parts of interaction with the world.
Art.
Like
Yeah.
it looks awesome.
It has a sick bicycle that is apparently super realistic in the way that it's modeled, according to one Josh Sawyer of Obsidian Entertainment, who's a bike enthusiast. He was drooling over the animations of the bike and like how real the parts are.
Yeah, but it looks so cool. It looks like it's almost like a archaeology-y kind of thing where you're like maybe you're going to old relics of past places and taking pictures and like drawing in a notebook and like I don't know, maybe you'll explore like what the people went through and stuff. Like it just looks so cool.
It almost looks like it's set here, but in the future, like kind of
Maybe.
post apocalypse kind of thing,
Yeah.
sort of like Horizon.
Could be. But yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, I'm excited for that for sure. It's beautiful.
All right. I think that is kind of the most of the
There's some
Game
more.
Awards. Oh, well. Is this?
You got Monster
okay.
Hunter Risei.
Oh my god.
Right, yeah, Risei is getting a demo in January or until January.
Keep calling it Risei.
Monster Hunter Kujikawa, if you prefer.
The super cheat guys are like, wait, is it actually called Monster Hunter Risei?
It's a crossover with Persona.
Yeah.
And
Oh no.
yeah, they could totally do that with with what they've done with the world. But yeah,
You're not wrong.
I don't think I'll be playing Rise, just
might.
because like I don't want to play it on the Switch.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
either.
the
I would
only-
play
Only
I would
negative
play
part.
it with Allison, because Allison said she might give it a shot. That's basically the thing. I would rather just play World, because I didn't play that much of World. So
I with Iceborne, they did the final like content update, I believe, this year. So like it's content
done,
complete,
yeah.
and now they're running through like every
events again, yeah.
like basically every week it's like cycling new stuff,
Which is
and
cool.
like going through the old stuff. And I think it's like on a 1-2 week or a 1 month schedule or something. And
That's
and it
the right
goes
way to
through
do it.
everything they've done.
That's cool.
yeah, I would rather play that than Dauntless now.
Oof. We'll get back to
That's
that
a
someday.
bummer.
But yeah, that was basically all the big games. There was some other stuff too, like that was still probably worth talking about. Like they showed Super Meat Boy forever and blah 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 blah.
Oh, we didn't talk about. There was the 5-minute fever dream
Oh, Fortnite stuff.
broke me completely
No,
and
not
They put the Master Chief.
The Master Chief showed up, and then they went into Red versus
yeah.
Blue, which is in
Right,
very
that.
poor taste. I
That
can't.
that was weird.
Can believe that they would do it because it's epic, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like, that shows that there is absolutely no awareness for what is happening in the world of video games at that studio.
Yeah, there was Red versus Blue, and then they brought Ninja in for some reason.
Yes, the Ninja skin is predictable to me. It's just weird that that's.
I thought that was already in there.
I thought it was too. Maybe it is.
I have no idea.
But I'm not at all clear on what the Red versus Blue thing even is.
They made a big deal out of like, and the community has made Blood Gulch. It's
Of
like,
course they fucking have.
what?
Like,
Probably took them 5 minutes.
yeah. I mean, Blood Gulch is cool, but
It's not a super like difficult map to make.
it's a it's a cool 3-lane map that's big enough for vehicles.
So it's a MOBA.
It's basically go
Sure.
top in Blood Gulch. I'm gonna do the jungle.
The jungle is the cave.
Oh, you're right.
But yeah, I don't know. That was weird. And then I was already reeling, and then someone started shooting zombies, which used to be the point of Fortnite, and it turned out that it was a Walking Dead promotion that they're throwing in there too.
Michonne and the guy from
Is
PT
it Daryl?
is cranking his hog.
I wish.
From Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I want you to get there.
And then
Who's the actor, Andre?
Norman Reedus?
Oh,
no, it's
I was hoping Andre would get there.
No, I'm not even trying to say his name.
Okay.
But the other thing too is after that, it was like they did a Rocket League thing, like the chaser to the Fortnite mindfuck was this Rocket League thing where like Cascade was going on about the new music that he's putting into Rocket League, which I mean, they get prominent EDM people to do. Deadmau5 has done music for that game, which fuck that guy, but whatever. And Cascade has done music in the past. It was just weird because it was like Cascade talking about it, and no offense to the guy, but he was like doing the like, hey Zoomers, aren't I cool? And it's like, buddy, you've been around for a while. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still make good music, but I mean, it was just really weird that they put him front and center. 50-year-old DJ talking about Rocket League right after the Fortnite thing was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that was a low point. I mean, other than that, the show had good momentum. Like, if you ignore the fact that it's no longer an awards show for the most part, and like the nominees all pretty much were uninspired, and I would say most of the winners were uninspired.
Yeah.
Like, I think the fact that Among Us won as much as it did was awesome. Like seeing the very tiny team and their reactions, which seemed extremely genuine. Like that was endearing, but
it was fun to see Sean Murray from
Sean Murray,
this guy thing.
That was cool.
He was like drinking or something, and
they like caught him mid swig.
He was not planning. He was not assuming he was.
He
going
was on
to win.
Twitter. He was on Twitter earlier, like being like, basically like sharing the fact that he was anxious about being on the stream because he like didn't know who was going to win and didn't think they were going to win, and was trying to figure out how to like not look awkward, like while
in loss.
Yeah, not even that he would have been upset, just like trying not to look like a weirdo in the like when they show all the nominees thing, and then he won, and it was very funny. I like that. Yeah. I like that guy a lot.
It's a good redemption arc for them.
Yeah. So good for them. One piece of exciting news for me is they finally put a date on the rest of the Yakuza games coming to Game Pass on PC and console. 3, 4, 5, the Yakuza Remastered Collection are coming in January, and 6 is coming in January too, right? I don't remember the exact date.
I believe they were at the same time, yeah.
I almost had a meltdown.
The entire series will be there, except for 7.
I didn't really almost have a meltdown, but like I am still in my head. I trust everyone on that stream in knowing these things, but still in my head, I don't believe that Doom Eternal was not already out on Game Pass.
I thought it was. Maybe it was just
could-
Doom 2016.
I
but
could
thought Doom Eternal
swear
came out on Game Pass.
on my life that Doom Eternal came out on Game Pass day and date. And everyone was like, no.
Wait,
I don't
day
think
and
it
date,
was
no.
not
but
day and
like,
date. No.
Or
like,
shortly after, like
in like
pretty
October
fast.
or like
See, I thought
recently.
it came out like almost day and date.
No,
It definitely wasn't day and date. It was way later. Because otherwise I would have played it with Game Pass.
Which makes sense. I mean, all the stuff that everyone's saying makes sense. But it says here December 3rd is when it came to Game Pass, which just like broke my brain.
It was pretty recent. But
It's insane that
back
happened.
in September 29th, they said Doom Eternal coming to Android and console. So yeah,
coming
okay.
to
It's not even okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So back in like September 29th, they said Doom Eternal coming to console and Game Pass stuff.
I was looking at some of the Twitter response afterwards, and so many people were upset that Doom Eternal got snubbed, and I'm like, no, it didn't deserve anything.
I actually want to play it because I think I might end up liking it more than you did, but I don't.
It's got some neat ideas, but like they kill the momentum so often.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's the issue is the great thing about Doom 2016 is you could finish a chapter and it would take you what, like 45 minutes, and it was just like, yeah, that was perfect, a perfect slice of Doom. And this one, sometimes the levels, like a chapter can take like 2.5 hours, and
I'll say
it's like too much.
I think the thing I don't like about Doom 2016, I went back and tried to play it again because I never finished it actually, is I don't like the way that game is like, sometimes some of the levels don't make sense as to how you're supposed to progress, and I feel like they are poorly paced in that way at times. And then also repeatedly, I played like half of it last year, repeatedly every level I would like kill everything and then spend another half hour wandering around the level trying to find in it. And
but Eternal is much worse for that.
Doom Eternal, yeah.
Okay, well then maybe I will not play it
because it has a lot more.
The
got a lot more
much larger, much more open.
I don't mind the platforming. What I don't like is we're going to show you that you're missing stuff from this level. Now you're going to walk around it for an hour trying to find it. I will. Then I'll never know because I'm not going to play that game. That's the way it is.
If you like, you get some like fast travel points, but if you leave the level and then come back, you don't have those, and you have to replay the level to get them back.
Yep.
Yeah. No thanks.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
No interest.
And fuck, the last boss is awful. Like absolutely awful.
I'm interested in the weird lore shit, but I don't know if I can put up with that.
I don't know that. I think the weird lore shit was actually worse in this. But anyways, we can talk about that in a month or less than a month.
I don't think we even need to.
We probably don't. That game is not very good. Anyways, Game Awards.
I thought it was predictable. I mean, everything that I was unsurprised by a single one of those awards and the way that they went. And I think that it's too bad that Hades didn't win Game of the Year.
What about
that would have been
Ghost of Tsushima winning the Player Choice Award?
That doesn't surprise me either. The community of that game is wild.
It just seemed like
it was a very popular game, I guess.
Well, it turned into this Twitter feud thing. If you caught that, where it was just kind of dumb. Where it just basically turned into. It's basically the equivalent of review bombing. That like they just stirred up the communities, and like it turned into The Last of Us 2 versus Ghost of Tsushima, and like stirring up those communities and be like, oh fuck those guys, rah rah rah. Like not exactly that, but like not quite like that, but yeah.
It's just like that game, at least for me, was like fine, but like nothing special.
Yeah, the thing is, I would rather play Valhalla than that game. If next year I'm itching for an Assassin's Creed and there isn't one, I might go back to Ghost because it's good. It's fine. It has better combat than Assassin's Creed.
It's a really pretty game.
It is, but I don't think it's as.
It's got a good it uses color well.
Yeah,
I don't painterly game.
I think the character animations in that game are bad. Like when you're talking to people, they remind me of like early Mass Effect, which isn't to say that early Mass Effect was bad when it came out, but by today's standards, they're pretty wooden in my opinion. So I don't know. And I don't think the story in Ghost of Tsushima is engaging on any level, like at all. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm surprised. I also just think it's weird. I don't like or understand why The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima have communities. Like
Fandom, baby.
Yeah,
That's-
fandom,
it's
baby,
just-
indeed.
totally. It's just like, you know, there isn't the like, I guess there is for modern movies, but like it just seems weird to me that they don't seem like games that it's like I'm part of the Godfather community. Like
Part of the Evil Dead community.
yeah, it's weird.
Well, oh yeah, there's an Evil Dead game announced.
That could be
Yeah.
cool. Who knows? Back 4 Blood looked cool too. That's the new Turtle Rock thing. But I guess I'm just trying to say like the Evil Dead community makes more sense to me even because there's movies and a TV show and comic books and video games.
Sure.
So with The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, there are 2 Last of Us games and 1 Ghost of Tsushima game. They're both they're all single player experiences, mostly
2.5.
of what Last of Us.
Yeah, I guess if you think of like the Left Behind and stuff like
That's,
that.
I think of
but-
Left Behind
but
as
yeah.
DLC.
not even like that's not a half
Yeah.
a game.
It's like 2 and 1/8.
Point.
It's arguably the best Last of Us thing, but also it is pretty. It feels like DLC to me.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But and I know there's
your point
multiplayer in the
stands.
original game, but it's just weird. I don't know. It's odd to me that people would get stirred up for that. I mean, even as someone who has very strong opinions about video games, if you were like Disco Elysium versus The Last of Us 2 voted out, I'd be like, no. I mean, I'll vote for Disco Elysium, but I'm not gonna like get in a brand war.
Speaking of which, go
Oh, yeah.
the next year on the PlayStation 5 and later on the Xbox and the Switch. You Switch, right? Is that a thing?
No, I
Switch?
think we were saying that. I don't think Switch is actually happening.
Okay.
I don't think it was among the list of logos.
Okay, you can play the Gaming Fyx game of 2019, Disco Elysium on console with fully voice acted
Fully
stuff and new quests.
New quests. Yep.
Okay.
New quests, new equipment and stuff.
I'm glad I haven't gone back to that game yet.
I'm fucking stoked to play it again in 2021. I'm so excited.
I'll probably play it again. It's a free upgrade for people if they have it on like Steam and
Good.
stuff. So
Well, looks like it's coming. Oh no, it's in the App Store on Mac. That's right.
Yeah, it's also
Yeah,
it
it's
is
not
this
iOS.
year's Game of the Year on Mac on the App Store.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Oh,
Game Awards happened.
Shit.
What's up?
They're doing a fucking collector's edition of Disco Elysium. That
Oh
might
yeah,
be
yeah.
something
They
to
showed
buy.
that in the
I
stream.
missed
It looks
that.
cool. Yeah, it has like a statuette and stuff.
Oh, and a mouse pad.
What is the statue?
It's
The,
To like fuck the world and the other
no,
guy?
it's the statue that's
it's,
in
it's
the
the
square.
it's the statue.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, back to backtrack, and we can probably leave the Game Awards here. It would have been way more interesting if Hades won. Like I think
Yeah.
the way I phrased it at the end of the Super GG thing is like if the Oscar bait had won,
Yeah.
that's basically what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. All right. Back to Cyberpunk.
yeah, we
The,
alluded to this earlier.
Yeah. So, God. So part of the game is this thing called brain dancing, which I just did the tutorial for earlier. And part of brain dancing is like you basically going into like a virtual space and experiencing what other people feel. Part of the setup for that is a series of like flashing lights, which turns out can cause some people with epilepsy to have seizures,
Yeah.
because it is very close to like the patterns that are used to help test and diagnose epilepsy.
Yeah.
Which led to Liana. I always
Liana Rupert.
get Liana Rupert. I always like Rihanna, who is like another person in the games media.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I like their names. I'm like which one is it?
Yeah, it is Liana.
Liana Rupert from Game Informer has epilepsy and had a seizure because of the game, and there's no way, or at the time there was no way to disable the thing, like the lights, and there was no prominent warning in the game, like buried in the EULA there was something. It was like, hey, there's some flashing lights, but nobody reads those.
Did you read the EULA? Because it was very stupid.
No,
it had a lot of like stupid
saw
casual
there's,
language
like,
that just it was like
it didn't even
dumb.
pop up for me on like Steam, I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was written very like, hey kids.
Yeah. I think
who cares about legal stuff?
I think this whole thing was like, it's bad that it was in there for sure. I do think, I'm not trying to say this in defense of CDPR. I truly believe that the way that made it in the game was they were looking at cool medical shit and saw that and went, without understanding what it was, went, oh fuck, this would be cool to put on the VR thing. Let's do it. Like, I think it's a similar situation to when they were making Modern Warfare and they did the Highway of Death level. I'm sure they were just looking at all kinds of random shit from Middle Eastern military conflicts over the last 30 years and went, oh, this could be a cool level, and just didn't even think about what they were doing.
And I don't like it's all. Yeah, it's no excuse.
I just no, I'm not trying to excuse them at all. I just saw
like the flashing
that they did it on purpose.
Yeah. I don't think they did it on purpose, but it is incredibly careless.
It's just irresponsible and careless.
Irresponsible. Like, it's not even an uncommon thing to do the flashing lights and like, hey, this might trigger something. So be careful.
The thing that was troublesome about all of it was like they ended up putting up that article on Game Informer, which was good. It was what they called the PSA or whatever. Like,
they call it PSA.
Hey,
really good reporting.
The game doesn't tell you this, so we're gonna tell you this up front.
And, like, it was a really good article, really well written, and it's coming from a place of knowing. And then the internet community just like jumped down our throat.
Melted it down, and that's what I was gonna say. Is that's why this is fucked up. All that needed to happen is what did happen on a kind of corporate level, which is, she did great reporting, put up a PSA about it. Other outlets picked it up. CDPR, not as quick as I would have liked, but within a day, responded and said, hey, this is good reporting. Thanks for pointing this out. We're fixing this. We're working on fixes for this now. And then fixed it in time. The warning was up by the time the game was live on Steam, which was the first place to Steam and GOG, first place you could play it. And it sounds like maybe there's a fix for it in the options also to disable it.
I believe that happened this morning.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So I think most recent patch,
CDPR fucked up. Someone caught them. They didn't really apologize. I do think that their language could have been smarter on how they responded to it, but CDPR's PR department not doing well. I'm surprised they even acknowledged it, frankly. So, that's all that needed to happen and Liana even responded to their tweet and was like, hey, thanks. I'm glad more people are going to be able to safely enjoy the game. So that's just all that needed to happen. But this toxicity directed at her is just like,
well, it's been toxicity at anyone saying anything remotely critical about the game. And that's why I near the start of the show, I was like, this is kind of similar to the Rick and Morty fandom at some point, because like the game wasn't out at this point.
Well, and your IQ just isn't high enough, Alex.
I'm fully aware of that. Don't worry. But yeah, like, no, the game wasn't out, and it was very valid, reasonable criticism. It's like, hey, like this for people who have a very legitimate medical concern, this is important.
It's not even the game is bad. It's, hey, here is,
be aware.
This is like a life and death thing.
Yeah, and people were just like being just really terribly shitty.
Stop being shitty on the internet, people.
There are some places where actually the stuff that people were doing to her could be considered assault and battery. So truly. I mean, I don't think she's necessarily pursuing anything.
She just wants to move past it. She doesn't even want people to focus on this aspect of the story, which is smart. And I think that's the human way to do it. And she's a big person for going that route. But if you know someone being an asshole to people on the internet, tell them to fucking stop.
Yeah, it's like fuck that. This made me rethink some things too about, like, I think there's even instances where I've nowhere like this, like, done anything, even just used slightly harsher language than I would in person to someone, and I'm thinking, I should probably find that person and apologize to them, because it's like, just stop being shitty on the internet. God, like, it's awful. Also, stop tying your identity to a video game you haven't played yet.
Or any sort of media.
Yeah.
Whether you've consumed or not.
Yeah,
Also,
totally.
don't pre-order video games. That's
Sure.
totally separate. Just another thought while we're on it.
And never put jam in a toaster.
And don't just turn your underwear inside out. Wash them.
Yeah.
Well, why'd you have to call me out?
You do like the front back, then inside out front back.
The first time that I heard that concept, I couldn't stop laughing for like 10 minutes. And that was only like a year ago, by the way.
Also, wash your towels.
I need to be better about that.
But I mean, they're just gonna. They're getting wet anyway. I'm clean.
Wash
the towel's
your
clean.
sheets.
I need to do that more too. I usually don't wash those things until I start to notice that they kind of are getting a little stinky, and that's not good. You should
I
wash
gotta
it
rotate
before
my
then.
mattress.
You flip it. Yeah, you gotta flip it.
Yeah, I gotta flip it and like
I don't know
spin
if you're
it.
supposed to flip Casper's, but
It's like you got a pillow top, you can't flip it. I don't know pillow top, but
we
you know,
don't.
some yeah, I don't know about a Casper because they got like different layers.
yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah,
Sponsor this podcast, Casper.
or don't. I don't know.
Send us all a mattress.
It's a nice mattress, but
Ambivalence.
that's every fucking podcast got sponsored by Casper at some point. I want to blaze new trails, and that's why I want to get sponsored by a weed farm.
Sure, why not?
I want to get sponsored by A&W.
Actually, I want to get sponsored by Logitech, so they'll send me an X56, not because I just want free shit, but because they're out of stock everywhere. I'd like to
AMD
buy one.
AMD
What?
sponsor us
No,
then.
X56 is the HOTAS. I need a new HOTAS, and it's the HOTAS that's like $250, and I would buy it for $250 happily if I could find it.
could.
But
Damn.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of tech companies, hey Nvidia, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Again,
that's literally how it's written in our document as well.
so Hardware Unboxed, a YouTube channel,
A
who
very good YouTube
reviews-
channel.
reviews tech and stuff, received communication from Nvidia saying they will not be receiving future products from Nvidia for review because Nvidia did not care for the way that the rasterization, like the focus on rasterization instead of RTX performance in games in their like review coverage, and is basically blacklisting them because they don't like how they're reviewing their cards.
they don't want reviews. They want influencers to talk about how cool ray tracing is.
Yeah, and Hardware Unboxed is not an influencer; they're a reviewer. Like it's I don't know what they expected, but like the language that the folks from Hardware Unboxed said was, quote, they have said they will revisit this should your editorial direction change. And it's like, that's basically a threat. Like that's basically blackmail to an extent.
Totally.
Like it's bad, and it sets a bad precedent, and it really puts Nvidia in a super negative light. Like it's grabbing two guns, double fisting them, and pointing them straight at your feet. Just poop.
Two guns, both hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, two guns, one hand.
And I mean, I think it's just, it's this
Two guns per hand.
Yeah. Pointed at feet.
Cyberpunk.
And massive cock.
And 2 feet per hand.
Oh
Shit.
Oh no. This is
Oh,
turning
we're back
into
to
spore.
Assassination Classroom.
We're getting in spore territory. They should make a new spore.
New
Peter
dark
Molyneux,
spore.
get on the phone. Peter Molyneux, sponsor our podcast.
Dark Spore never existed. You know, I owned Dark Spore and I never once launched it. And now you can't play it anymore.
I'm sure you could find a way.
Probably.
There's probably like a server you can connect to.
Maybe. I don't think so, actually.
Running
I don't
on
think
someone's
there's a
computer
I don't
in
think
Eastern
there's a Dark
Russia.
Spore community keeping the game alive.
Run a private dark spore server.
Apparently, there are still 220,000 people playing Dark Age of Camelot. I almost installed that the other day because that game fucking rules.
I haven't played it, so.
It's awesome.
Anyways,
there is
fuck Nvidia for all this.
Yeah, and
Dark Spore update February 2020.
Wow.
I thought that was when it got. I thought that was like this is it. We're putting a bullet in it.
In all 20 tentacles.
No, they're working on it. They just can't share it.
Oh, like a community thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, when you go to the Wikipedia, it says Darkspore was a video game.
So from July 10th, 2019, Darkspore is no longer dead. And then the same channel, February 18th, 2020, Darkspore update 20. So I don't know. You can't, I don't know.
Who cares? Anyway.
Hey, you're the one who brought it up.
Sorry. Yes. And I'm sorry.
You apparently
No.
you care.
There's a community effort there.
Oh, okay.
There's a
brought up
community
Darkspore.
effort there. Communities are rad. I think it's cool that there's people who care enough about anything to put work into making it playable again. So I apologize for the negativity there. But definitely, Nvidia wants. I mean, this is the direction I think a lot of outlets or a lot of manufacturers of, whether it's hardware or like, I don't want to shit on anybody, but video games have some of the most pervasive influencers of any industry.
Well, it got to the point on YouTube where they had to, like, it's almost because of the game industry that they had to add like hey, this is an ad.
Yeah.
part.
And while I respect that people are trying to get paid and trying to like survive, the problem with influencer advertising, from what I have observed, is there is just a complete lack of criticality on every level. I mean, they frame it. It's like found footage advertising. Like they frame it like it's a real life. I just love Nvidia cards. I just love ray tracing. When it's like the only reason that that's the case is because you're paid to say it. And I don't know. It's of course companies are going to want that. Of course, like a studio, like a hardware manufacturer. And there's a never ending stream of up and coming influencers who will do that for them for dirt cheap. So
pay attention to the validity of the reviews you're consuming. I would say Hardware Unboxed is someone you should watch. Linus Tech Tips, someone you should watch. He's very clear about which ones he reviews. Gamers Nexus is extremely thorough and fucking wonderful, though maybe too thorough for some people. You got Mobile Tech Reviews. Lisa is amazing.
And I think just like with games, I mean, if a studio is not willing to send Waypoint a copy of a game and there's no other reason why they shouldn't cover it, they're going to buy one and do the coverage. And I think there's going to be people that do that for hardware. Stick with those people, I think. And if you can support them, I mean, if they're smaller creators like Gamers Nexus, and I think they have a Patreon.
And all them.
Yeah. Get in on that. And like, if you want to see that kind of real criticism, you know, it's worth it, I think, to support those outlets. Cause it's going to keep going away. In some weird ways, as much as I think fucking Nvidia for it, I'm not surprised. And it's the way the entire industry is going to move. So
yeah, they just got caught with their pants down with this one because Hardware Unboxed was not willing to just let that sit in their email box. Which good on them.
They shouldn't. Actually, this discussion and talking about like the ad stuff and the influencers reminded me of that shit with the government, the U.S. government sneaking a provision that would basically ban streaming.
Oh, right.
Turn streaming any copyrighted content into a felony.
Yeah.
And so basically, like, if you streamed, basically Twitch would be in some deep shit with a lot of their stuff.
Didn't they slip that into some economic bill?
It's like a funding, like a government funding bill or something.
Yeah.
It might have even been in the military budget or something like that.
I can't remember, but
it's not passed yet. They passed the military budget, which that's a whole other
politics fix.
But yeah.
Yeah, that one.
So but it's just one of those things where they sneak a wholly unrelated issue into like a budget bill.
Yeah.
And it could drastically change the way games are marketed, influenced, or spread about, streamed.
When I was saying a few weeks ago, DMCA should be reevaluated. This is not how I meant it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think the incoming administration gives a single fuck about any of this stuff. So
no, I think you're absolutely right.
They saw AOC streaming on Twitch and said, "We got to stop that."
I mean, yeah, I bet that's a big part of why this went in there for sure.
Huh. You might be right.
It's a reaction to those things because they fucking hate her. Pretty much everybody hates. Oh, Republicans hate her.
Oh no, I knew about
passionately.
That,
a lot of Democrats do too. The Democratic Party's not your friend, listeners in the United States. you should not be a Republican, but you should be very critical of your Democratic candidates. Yeah. Anyway.
So keep an eye on that, and
fuck Nvidia for now.
And also email, contact your congressperson, senator, whatever. I don't know.
Tell them that sucks.
Contact
last minute.
Chef Boyardee.
Seph Boyardee.
Seph Boyardee. Sorry.
Last two quick hits. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, the VR game from Respawn. Requires 177 gigs of storage.
Right?
Why
is it so enormous?
I thought it was on Quest.
It's not on Quest. It's on Oculus, so it could be like on the go. Okay. I wonder if it can be on the. I guess is the Quest. The Quest is the mobile one. There's a 256 gig one, isn't there?
So this won't fit on it. It will fit on it.
The one I have is like
the new one.
The new one. The one I have is like 64 gigs, I think. Like it's not going to fit this thing.
Quest 2.
This game sounds terrible, by the way, so I don't think it's
really
matters. From what I've heard,
I've just seen the trailers and stuff they put out.
From what I've heard from people that I follow in like VR development and who are kind of in that community, it sounds like it is they just tried to map a first-person shooter levels to VR, and it just doesn't work. And it
didn't look like it would.
No, it's apparently not good, which I'm not surprised about. It has looked bad to me every step of the way.
Quest 2 is either 64 gigs or 256 gigs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think the original Quest only had 64 or 128, but I could be wrong.
So you could not possibly play that on an original Quest.
Yeah,
you'd have to play it on PC and use a link,
which
cable or the virtual desktop stuff,
which is insidious because the only way to get any of those features to work effectively is to go through their account stuff and use your Facebook account. So it's interesting that this game just doesn't work on an original Quest because that's the only way currently to continue not using Facebook account stuff. And I mean, that will go away too, but
I saw someone earlier, there's like they put like the Rift S on sale maybe and they've discontinued it, so they're just like blowing out stock and like $100 off, and someone on Facebook going, yeah, they could sell it for so cheap because they're selling all your data. I'm like, my guy,
oh yeah,
where are you posting this?
So right now Above and Beyond is also available on Steam. It's not just on the Oculus stuff. Okay. It is currently sitting at 39% positive out of 339 reviews. So that would be a mostly negative rating.
Yeah. Is it also on PlayStation?
No, I don't think so.
Because it seems like it would be at least okay on PSVR, maybe.
It doesn't work. Well, I don't know. Maybe it would with the wands.
Except for it being 177 gigs.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks bad. These reviews are harsh.
Bummer.
And not in the shitty gamer way. Harsh.
Glad.
It seemed like a bad idea from when they first announced it.
People are saying that it's a slap in the face to the veterans that they interviewed for the game because it is so bad that it is offensive that they involved actual combat veterans in the story.
We also commented on that during the stream because they showed the veteran interviews during the Game Awards.
Which in the original Medal of Honor was cool. It grounded the story and felt respectful in a sense. Yeah, I would say there's many reasons to just forget about Above and Beyond.
Yep.
Yeah,
So let's forget about
I'm glad I did not hold on to my Quest or my Rift to play that then. Okay, and last, Polygon is raising a bunch of money for the Innocence Project. They're streaming for 3 days, right? They've done like a day or about a day, or
Yeah,
today will
roughly
be
a day
like
now.
the end of day one, Majora's Mask situation.
Yeah.
End of the
Yeah,
first
Dawn of day two.
Yeah, they'd set a goal for themselves of what, $10,000 within 3 days, raising the charity.
Something like that,
and
yeah.
They got $10,000 within an hour, I believe.
Yeah.
So they're just, you know what? Start small and just, never be disappointed.
Yeah.
So good for them. That's great stuff they're doing.
Good for them.
And so
Gonna tune into
check
the
that out.
stream. I just want to see what they're at for their donation count because I'm just curious. Opening it up. They've set a new goal of 69,420 because of course they have, and they are currently at
because they have 420.69,
Yeah,
and then
they
if they hit
smashed
that, then
through
of course.
So, and now they're currently at just under 60,000. So it's awesome.
They're on their way. They're gonna do that like by the end of this podcast.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty fantastic.
Well, that is gonna do it for this episode of the Gaming Fyx podcast, episode 151. What are you laughing at? What you laughing at?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
December 12th, 2020. You can find the podcast on twitch.tv/FyxPodcasts.
Sure.
It's Gaming
Maybe.
Fyx.
Gaming Fyx?
It's Gaming Fyx for the Twitch.
You can find us on Twitter at Fyx Podcasts, where you can see pictures of Alex's cat in the fleets.
Yep. All the time.
You can find me, Andre, aka your partner's favorite 90s hip hop reference. Is that what I said? Reference? That's weird. On Twitter.
Weird. It was
at Coolsl, COOLSL4W. I'm gonna be on vacation and I'm gonna write some reviews, and you can find those at Fyx.space, where you can currently see Sam's review of Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales for the PS5.
Yeah.
And hopefully some other reviews in the near future. Pat, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PJCPlays. I'm going to have vacation coming up in 2 weeks still, or a week and a half-ish. And I might try to do more streaming around that. I'm not really planning on writing a bunch of reviews. Not feeling passionate one way or another in review territory with anything I'm playing right now. But I do want to do some more streaming. I want to finish the Fuser campaign, maybe stream some of that.
Psychonauts?
Yeah, I could get back to Psychonauts. Yeah, that fell apart because things just progressively got worse over the course of the year.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Much like things in Psychonauts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like in not like a gameplay wise, just like the story.
Yeah.
And Alex, where can people find you?
I don't know. Not watching Assassination Classroom anymore. It's over.
Can they
The
find
world's
you?
smallest assassination over here.
Just find me looking for massive cock.
Yeah. That's the one.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place.
Or will we?
Sephiroth.